Well then, what's up everybody? This is me, Francisco, joined by my good buddy Charles here for Sports Kiss number 181. What did I tell? I forgot what I titled this. I'm sick, so my brain's not working too good, and I'm tired. Well, I'm not really tired. I have energy, but I'm just kind of like bleh right now. So my voice is bleh. I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but Charles is dying already, so he's catching the coof.
Devils May Cry is what you called it.
Oh, okay. There you go. All right. So I forgot what I named it. And I was at a time when I thought I'd just be talking about Devil May Cry, and I probably am. I'm going to review it, essentially. And yeah, Charles has also got some gaming stuff. I have gaming on the brain because, well, Sonic came out. That's already in my on my PC. I haven't downloaded it just yet, but I already bought it. And I got the free little Lego Sonic as well, Charles.
Oh, there you go. I'm glad that you were able to utilize it.
Yes, so that will be fun. But I have to finish stuff for work before I feel like being a good boy, and then I can play my games, So
Can't have your dessert without eating your chicken or whatever it is.
The vegetables. Gotta eat my vegetables.
Gotta eat your vegetables.
There you go. I like broccoli, though. So.
You can't have your pudding if you don't eat your meat. You can tell we're both brain fried. I think people need to realize what it means in our profession. And a lot of people have it too. So that's why we always ask people to be considerate. Is we wake up hella early and we deal with a lot of emotions, a lot of different processes, and we're everywhere. So when we have those moments of stalling, it's not even a brain fart. Some people will call it a brain fart. It's just literally we're trying to wake the dead here.
Indeed. So, all right. Well, I'm going to go down this list of things. But I did want to talk. I played Devil May Cry 5. I played through all of it this time, Charles. Mm-hmm. And come hell or high water, I was able to finish it, even though I was having a lot of trouble towards the end because of whatever the server it was on, whatever machine was crashing. Mm-hmm. And I think the thing that fixed it was just me not streaming the endings.
Which is fine, I guess, for the one or two people who have not played it.
Yeah, that's fine, and that's cool and anything. Anybody who wants to watch the ending can watch it on YouTube. But yeah, Devil May Cry 5, played it through Luna, which through a wired connection is not that bad. Mm-hmm. Whoever's out there, beware, just in case you have internet caps wherever you live, that it will siphon that considerably. But if you don't, if you're pretty cool with it, with your internet connection, then it was serviceable. I noticed I could notice lag. I could notice that there was a bit of a difference between button inputs and things happening on the screen. And sometimes to kind of make up for it, I would see the resolution lower. So, or the frame rate lower. And so that was also kind of not great for me because suddenly it's you're watching it at 1080p 60 and suddenly it's 720 30, and that's a bit jarring. It's a bit jarring, and sometimes stuff happening on the screen and the connection affected that. But overall, I found being able to play a button mashing beat 'em ups hack and slash to be serviceable on Luna. To be honest, it's more of a review of Luna than DMC itself. The DMC was fine. I'm sure if I played it on PC or Xbox, it would have my feelings would have been a bit different. But just playing it as if it was a rental, because essentially it was. I had it for a month, and having that old school feeling like I was back at Blockbuster with my sister, looking for a copy of Street Fighter 2, hoping that they weren't all sold out for the Sega Genesis. And then finding it, and it's like, all right, here we go. And knowing you had to play it and play only that for just a few days. And that's what I did. And
super anxiety. Those kids don't understand that pain.
Yeah, it was those were the days. Those were the days, actually. There was an excitement to it. You had that variety. Now, I've got a ton of variety with all the free games that I get on PC. But you don't have that sense of urgency, which I think is the real difference there. You had to really play. Your parents were taking you out to Blockbuster or Hollywood Video or whatever the heck, or some mom and pop video stores way back in the day. I think Albertsons used to do
Yep.
used to do rentals as well. I remember renting video games from Albertsons a long, long time ago in West Palm Beach. And yeah, we rented remember Tailspin? Remember that show?
Yep.
Yeah, we rented Tailspin for the Sega Genesis from Albertsons. You know, we played that. And I don't remember nothing from that game though. But I think didn't they re-release that?
Yeah, it's part of the Tailspins collection.
Oh
or
my
the
goodness
Disney collection.
gracious!
Not
Dear
the ones
Lord.
I bought, but to kind of add on to that of memory and what people just don't understand, and this is always important to me, is you not only did you have to plan what you wanted to get, you would need to have a second and a third. It was literally, you didn't get the Tinder option, kids, where you just swipe as many times as you can and hope that someone matches because you're attractive, right? Or you make money. This was like, all right, if they don't have this game, what's my next game? And just in the event the other game's not there, what is my third option? And then sometimes gods can be cruel. That's how I'm going to start this. Gods can be cruel. And did you ever have this happen to you, either Blockbuster or Hollywood Video or your other rental place, where you rented the game that you've been waiting on? You go in, you pop into the disc, and it is having some issues. Why? Because some meth head and meth baby head scratched the hell out of it, and it was not working. Have you ever had that issue? That's true pain.
I mean, I'm trying to think of we never rented.
Well, you weren't disc crazy. That's right.
Well, I had a Sega Saturn, but we never rented games on the Saturn for whatever reason. Well, nobody had a Saturn. That's why.
You wouldn't know that pain because you didn't do PlayStation, and Xbox, and you bought your stuff on the GameCube, right?
And well, I had the Sega Genesis, and then the Sega Saturn, and then transitioned over to N64. So we had the cartridges, and I myself didn't rent a lot of stuff from Blockbuster or Hollywood Video, or I forgot. There was another one. There was like a third one that I remember.
I just remember Hollywood Video.
Yeah. For the N64, but my buddy who lived across the street from me, he would rent like almost every weekend. So the sleepovers, like I got to go over to his house, and we rent over a bunch of stuff for Blockbuster over there, like freaking San Francisco Rush 2049 and Hydro Thunder and all those like Midway N64 games I remember, and just a bunch of stuff. So I remember that, but we didn't have the depravity of some meth head, some crackhead, some little brat just completely destroying the disc, because those PS1 discs were pretty fragile.
Yep, same thing I would say with PS2.
Yeah, PS2 as well. The GameCubes actually were pretty solid. Xbox as well, and I mean, I haven't had any problems like with my Wii U discs or my Xbox discs.
It's a different time and a different breed, I would say, but it was just I had to endure that pain. I'm very jealous that you didn't. And I never had an issue with the cartridges, but I remember I still remember now, they had the Invincible Hulk. It was a PS2 game, and it's just you're playing as the Hulk and just destroying things, or the Indestructible Hulk, not Invincible Hulk. And I remember playing like the first bit of it. It was either that or the 2003 Hulk game, and it was just scratched the hell where I couldn't continue. And the problem is that Blockbuster, no offense to their customer service, is that you go and then scratch, and like, depending on the kid that you got, they're either going to be like, yeah, you can exchange it for something else. But if you go on a Friday and mom and dad ain't going to drive you back, you're SOL, kids. The nostalgia. That's why I'm very happy everything is, either digital, even though I am a fiend for trading things, which we did this weekend, kids. There's a fun story that comes to that soon, because I feel like this might be a gaming-centric episode.
Maybe. I'm trying to look at Hulk PS2 games. They had the one based on the movie.
And there was a
Hulk.
second one.
And then they had the Incredible Hulk Ultimate. Oh, no, they had so they had the one based on the movie. They had the other one based on the other movie, which is part of the MCU one or whatever.
Well, that one I don't think was MCU. I think it was just Vivendi Studios or Vivendi Games made it.
And then there was one more that was like Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction. There we go.
That's what I think I played. And mind you, like, guys, I'm 13. You just want to destroy some stuff sometimes. We're not stuck in like the circle jerk of JRPG loving. I'm not counting that as curse word, by the way. The circle jerk of JRPG loving, that modern day people.
I see it on the screen there. It's like the Hulk zone.
Yep.
Yeah,
yep. I remember that.
There we go. Okay.
Because sometimes you just have to try some stuff, And what kids don't realize is Blockbuster and Hollywood Video also changed at times. As the years progressed, their timing changed too. prices for 1 day, 2 day, and then went to like 3 day rentals. I'm like, what if about a week rental? Ah, man, times are different.
But I think that's. I wouldn't pay for the subscription for Luna.
Yeah, but it's a tryout.
At this point, I tried that. I've tried NVIDIA GeForce, and both you have to get a subscription. But GeForce is kind of weird, where they'll you need the subscription to play it on the cloud, but they're games that you already own on PC anyways.
And that's where
I'm paying to play games that I already own.
Yeah. And I think cloud streaming works to a degree the same way of how I think Game Pass and PSN library works if you have kids. The same thing with the Nintendo Collect. Because the thing is, why would you want to pay $70? You can make the equivalent, I want this, and you're like, we have this at home, right? You have to kind of deal with it like that. But it's a great way to kind of allow children to figure out what they like, if there's anything. But, how much of it do you want to spend money on at the end of the day? Because games are expensive.
Yeah, and
simple.
There's so many options now. You can do all kinds of things. Yeah, heck, you could buy next year. There's a brand new machine that's going to play N64 games natively,
Analog.
Analog, and will be displayed in 4K and everything like that on your modern TVs. So there's options out there for anybody that any gaming taste out there. But this option, I could see people doing it. I could see somebody that I could see xCloud. I can understand that with Game Pass and having the little controller that goes around your phone. I could see somebody doing that. I probably would do that myself if I ever reinitiate my Game Pass subscription. If I'm like out on a trip, I have my Switch. But if there's a game that's really that I really want to play, and I think there's only certain games that would work. Like I think certain strategy games that are kind of slow, that are tactical RPGs, that type of stuff, strategy games. Those are great for the cloud stuff. So I played that, but then I had a surprise game, Charles, that came out of nowhere.
Tell 'em.
That took over my weekend, and I was not going to purchase this game, and I still did not purchase this game because my buddy Roy Bellamy. I'm gonna say we're buddies.
That's fine. Your Twitter acquaintance, Roy Bellamy.
Exactly. Fine. You could call it that. Has reviewed NHL 24. I don't know which version he has, but regardless, he did not have some nice things to say. Actually, openly said to people not to buy it. And so you and I have discussed buying NHL 24 for like a year now.
Yeah.
And with the dost thou protest, Andrew, as far as buying it or not.
The problem is, when you live the righteous lifestyle, everybody, I want you guys to understand something. We're adults, earn money, but no one ever buys it for the full 60. Never in a cold day will EA get it. But when you live on the righteous path, there's only one way you can go. You can't find any exceptions. And as we said it, for both of us, yes, I get the idea of buying something every year is a bad idea. I haven't played an NHL game since 2013, and you haven't either. So this is just perfect. But continue.
Yeah, and the only other NHL game I have is like NHL 14. I got that in a grab bag, Goodwill type of thing, and it only worked for like a day, and then it stopped working. So that was it. But lo and behold,
But to support Andrew, he's not the only one who has these opinions.
Right.
As adults. When you're the teenager, it's okay to get mad. So we're giving love there. We'll respect Andrew in that aspect,
yeah.
However.
And Andrew's the only one that's played an actual NHL game between now and the last decade.
And it is his cup of tea.
Yeah. So I wasn't going to buy it, but the Florida Panthers, and I think most of the NHL teams, and a lot of NBA teams, have gaming-centric esports teams and accounts. So the Panthers have one. It's FLA Panthers Gaming, and they have like an esports team that plays NHL 24 and goes to like competitions and what have you. And so they were like, "Hey, we've got a giveaway. Just retweet, comment your system, and you'll see if you win." So I'm like, "All right, fine." So I have two accounts, right? With regards to my Panther stuff. So I used my real one, and I was like, okay, I have an Xbox One. And
I wish you told me, I would have done. I was like, screw it.
Yeah, and then I had my FLA Cats History 1, Panthers Historian, whatever you want to call it. And I made a joke comment, and I put Sega Saturn. Because, yeah, and that's how I roll.
Yeah.
But lo and behold, they didn't pick the joke account; they picked my account, and I won. I won a copy of NHL 24.
Do you think Andrew? Let's play fictional role. Do you think Andrew, when he got that text, was just sitting there going, "I'm gonna curse him, motherfucker," because he was the deciding factor on Francisco, especially since it wasn't Kachuk, or T-Chuck as I call him, the Czech, because I can't spell, wasn't on the cover. And I think Andrew's like, haha, in the holy war, because I don't think people understand. I was just straight up mean to Andrew for like the last 8 months, where I'm like, it's on sale, but you can't tell me you can buy it. It's on sale. You can't tell me to buy it. And then he just looks at you and is like, I lost him.
Well, yeah. And as a hypocrite, I decided to just play it and enjoy it. And so I did.
Because everything's great when it's free, right?
It is great when it's free, but I also can nitpick as well. And this is not a full review. It's just like first impressions, right? Because I haven't really delved too deep. The most that I've done, because I haven't turned on my Xbox Game Pass subscription, so I can't play online. And I'm not going to fall into EA's trap with the Ultimate Team. And
which, I get why people hate it, but truthfully speaking, they do nothing to deviate from its importance in other franchises. If they're just trying to shill competitive people with ADHD and teenagers, by all means.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the people got to control themselves, right? But I'm not going to fall into that. I never do anyway. So I haven't with MLB 24, the show, or 23, the show. So, but I started playing it. I made my own creative character and what have you. And I'm doing that. I'm doing be a pro mode or whatever. And so far, the first game was fun. I got an assist. I had a goal. I got in a fight. Game misconduct. I was.
What's your position?
What happened? Oh, I made myself a two-way defensive player, essentially. So not an offensive defenseman, but more of a guy that's all around. So, but a defenseman. I didn't feel like I would be if I had played hockey growing up. I feel like I would be a defenseman.
Which this is perfect for that running joke about how I would be a goalie and I wouldn't get scored on. So we have to attack that after your review.
Yeah, and I decided to do that. But after playing a few games with that, I am starting to notice some of the stuff that Roy had said in his review of the game, as far as the way the penalties are called in the game. Like almost everything's a tripping penalty in that game. I can't move my stick in any sort of way or fashion or form.
Which I think was my issue of NHL 13, because everything was icing. And me, who was a novice in the rules, was like, what the hell's icing? The ice is supposed to be there.
I don't think you were playing it right. I think you just grabbed the puck and flung it to the other side.
Which
so the
you
other
are
team
correct.
Wouldn't score.
But, the game needs to educate me on that.
So, I mean, you can turn off icing if you want to, but...
No, what do I look like? But you would agree with me, because I think you've played Madden. You would agree with me that all the sports games is that it's not the most casual for someone it's not the easiest way to kind of teach people the rules. Not the gameplay, but how the gameplay impacts the rules.
Yeah, I can agree with that. It depends. I mean, the only reason I know things about tennis is because I played Mario Tennis.
Exactly, right? We became pros on that one.
Yeah, that's the only reason I know anything about how the rules of tennis go. But as far as NHL, yeah, I am noticing things like I can't really control my stick in a way that feels natural. Hitting people doesn't feel that natural. Use like the R shoulder button to like check people and things like that. I just feel like it'd be much better as part of some of the actual face buttons, the A, B, X, or Y, what have you. And I'm just going back to, because I've played retro NHL games like NHL 2K, NHL Hits, the old NHL EA games, right? And they felt more simple. I get that this is a sim, but I myself like an arcadey type of an experience. And I feel like that should be an option for people. Right?
Or just have NHL 94, because it's like the godsend, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what people always go back to as far as the actual, okay, this is the game that felt like a hockey game for people back on the Genesis, the Super Nintendo. But there's only 2 control schemes. And, they use the right stick and everything like that, and fine, I'll get used to it. but I still don't feel like I'm in full control of my stick or my player or my movements. And so, and I've played not just my creative player, I've also played exhibition games with the Panthers and what have you. And it just doesn't feel the way I feel like it should feel. And I think that's what people have really been criticizing these EA NHL games, and really EA sports games in general. That Madden, the whole thing with these sports games, as far as development is concerned, is that they're trying to meld the physics engine with the animations to make everything needs to be more natural. And they're using I forgot what EA's engine was called.
Motion or something.
The Frostbite engine?
The Frostbite, yeah.
Yeah.
Motion is a studio or Motive. They're the one who made Dead Space, which apparently is coming to Game Pass.
Yeah, but they use that engine, and apparently from what I've seen, and there's a great, I think Soft Drink Sports always reviews all of these sports games, especially the EA ones, and he's always very, very, very critical on them. Very harsh in his reviews, but it's justified. And
is it the complexity of the sport that makes it tough to make a game, or is it the fact that there's more stuff that they want to push to?
Well, it's the complexity, but it's also the fact that they've sat on their laurels with Ultimate Team in all of the sports. Soccer and football and hockey, and they don't do basketball no more, but. Nor baseball, but
2K is the art, because Andrew's very like FEA, and I'm like, well, also F2K though. Everything is loot boxes, and the
and MLB is the same thing. MLB has all the card packs and everything like that to get players. So it's not all of them do it, but I guess EA is just more egregious with it. But even though 2K is probably just as egregious, they just mask it with a better overall game that people like. But it still plays on people's addictive qualities and tendencies, and
which is what a game's supposed to do. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, but it's mixed with the microtransactions becomes dangerous for a lot of people.
Don't buy it.
Yeah,
I don't feel pity for the kid. I think we sent a tweet to it where the kid who spent like the savings
$10,000 or whatever.
I'm like, well, you beat that child and you give it to the orphanage. I know several say that. I wouldn't do that. I never would advocate for that. I'm just saying that you go tell them that you're going to live with your aunt and uncle now, so we don't have you forcibly removed.
But so far I am enjoying it now that it's free.
Yeah.
However, I feel I wouldn't pay $60-$70 for it.
But what would you pay? That's what you have to figure out the threshold. Like with Madden, I'm always like $25. Sure, I'm not getting this.
Sure,
my
$25-$30 for a game that came out, because it'll be down in price in like 2 months anyways.
And the thing that I like to make the arguments for like the Andrew
just need to get you in the door for the Ultimate Team. That's all they need to do. Soon enough they'll be free to play. Watch.
The arguments I make to people is that you do kill a lot of time in those games. I have hundreds upon hours in Madden because I do it with the franchise of my buddies.
Oh yeah, no. And that's the fun thing, right? That's what people like to do. And you don't have to do the Ultimate Team, but the criticism with all these sports video games is that they don't have the time to improve them.
Yeah,
and we just had a generation change with the Series X and the PS5, and they're still the same base game. Just hey, you can see their sweat a little bit better now.
That's what's good though. Well, that's the running joke I tell people, because Francis is like, get the PS4 version. I'm like, I'm sorry. Do I speak commoner? Do I speak like peasant? Andrew in the chair's like, Charles, it's fancy PS5. Listen, all right, I understand that. It's not the PS5 that's fancy. Really, it's the television. The PS5. Listen, does the man make the suit, or does the suit make the man? And that's how I feel about my game consoles. But, that's a hard stretch.
Yeah. And, I would say $25-$30 for the game. If you could find it at like that, you'll watch Black
Friday. That price on Black Friday. I'm telling you now, man, because I am no amateur with it. I promise you that, kids.
Yeah,
like I promise you, I would find it. Now the question is, the crossplay thing is not. I don't know if we would play a lot of it. But
that was my other thing. I just made it like as a joke in a sense. Oh, just get the PS. Like I know you won't get a PS4 version of the game. You can get a PS5 version,
we have some ideas of where we want the show to go come episode 200. or if we're going to do Goofs After Dark as another way. So it is on the table.
Yeah, but even I would have to activate my Xbox subscription, and then I'm like, So even then, that's limited anyways, because I'm not. But
there's always room for the future, is what we tell people.
Yeah, sure. But it's fine if you haven't played it in at least 5 years.
And I've got like 13 years, so it's perfect. I'm doing it on the incentive of learning names. I'm also doing it as a alternative for the show, because right now I'm playing WWE 2K 2022, another game that can be said come out yearly. Mind you, with all the roster changes, that's how some of these things work out. But it gives an alternative, because it's either that or it's going to be Resident Evil 4 Mercenaries, because that's a free mode they add-on that was in the original one. And, you're just doing speed runs essentially, or just survival mode. So let's do that. I've been doing this thing where I flip 1 hour on one and 1 hour on another one, so I don't get bored unless I'm actually tasked to talk a lot, which probably might be today's episode, or it just depends on the sport thing. So, but I think that could be fun, because I have 2K for basketball. I'm not ready for it. I actually needed to hit about December, and that's when I feel that itch, because Sony gave it away for free, and I know they're saying, oh, but get the new one. I'm like, listen, I actually follow basketball though. I wouldn't say religiously, but damn near close to it, right? Where I'll go to the church on the Sundays as I say fit. But it's exciting, and even Francisco will tell you guys that, I guess because it's a sports show, everybody. I have been kind of not fully watching, but I've been watching partial actual games of the Panthers, and then getting some highlights. I'm trying after 5 years. I think it's time to try. I think the fervor of going to the live events help out, because we haven't gone to live events since COVID, right? So it is something I think that can work, and I do generally find hockey engaging, and it's just like a forbidden love. You just gotta tell her how you feel. You gotta tell him how you feel. You gotta go there and say, listen, I don't know why, but I'm curious to do. I likes you and I wants you, and we can do this easier. If anybody's seen the Boondocks. So that's us right now. And there's a possibility, and you getting it gives more of an incentivization for it. The only person who's kind of lost in the dark is Andrew, but Andrew doesn't do a lot of gaming.
But it piqued his interest when I sent him the crossplay chart.
Well, I think Andrew,
like, you can play with me, at least.
Andrew's not a big gamer, but we're not doing the Splatoon-a-thons. I think this would be, I think it's good for its incentivization. We want to make him into a gamer, but you can't make a jaguar into a lion. Different kind of spots and stripes, right? But the whole purpose about gaming, as we have it on our show, as we do it on non-sponsors, is we want you guys to enjoy something that we have connective tissue with. What I've been appreciating about you and I is that we've been kind of going outside our comfort level games. How many turn-based RPGs have I played this year? And now you're going to get me into a hockey game? Hey, man.
Yeah, I've been playing FPSs. So
and you haven't been miserable. The hack and slash of DMC is interesting, because I thought you would kind of like it. We came from the same kind of generation of platformers and then Metroidvanias, so I always felt like those Metroidvanias, like Castlevania or even to a degree Metroid, has those similarities that you were like on a hack and slash. It's just depending what kind of JRPG action or hack and slash you got, or regular ones. Sometimes they're over the top stories, and Devil May Cry 5 is probably the most contained is the word I'll use. It has an actual story.
I was surprised by how quickly I got through it, but thinking back, okay, these are
supposed to be long, man.
Like Bayonetta's from the same blood of Devil May Cry, literally the same guys that made the first 2 or 3 games, right? So I'm like, okay,
it's so weird that you chose that, but not Bayonetta 3, which is the same time period. I guess you're just mentally ready. I'm sorry.
Well, I saw it on my Fire TV. It's like, they got Devil May Cry. Well, okay, let me see if I got a.
And I did sponsor it.
Like, yeah.
I have spoke highly of it.
You did, and I'm like, okay, let me try it. I never tried the series. Never had a PlayStation, so I never tried it. And okay, all right. And now I'm like, oh well, let me look. And it's they got Xbox One. They have the collection 1, 2, and 3, and then they have the DMC reboot one, right? And then I think 4 is also on Xbox One or what have you.
Yep.
So I could find those games relatively cheap for like maybe like $30 in total. So that's a possibility for the future. But I do have Bayonetta sitting there. Eventually, I will get to it. It will be
when you're ready. You're ready.
But I didn't tell you the background music tonight is Sonic Mania.
Good choice, man. Like, I've played through that 2.5 times, 3 times. I think I actually did it during the show. Just fantastic.
Yeah. And Sonic came out just recently. I already bought it, as I told you, and I'm waiting to be a good boy, and then I'll play it. And then Mario comes out in a few days from here until on Friday, right? So
don't talk to me about Friday.
So going to Best Buy after work for sure, and that'll be a fun evening. And sheesh, man, I'm gonna be heading to San Antonio. That might be what's in the Switch on my flight over. So who knows? Depending. But I do want to stream all of it, to be honest. Who cares? Doesn't really matter.
Well, I mean, if you're going to stream it, just don't do it. You can bring well, I don't know if you want to do that back and forth.
No, I wanted to stream that one too. The games that but once again, I have plenty to play on the fly. I can just knock out some more Sega Genesis games.
Yeah.
That's what I'll do. All right, well, I guess that was some gaming stuff. I'm sure Charles has some other gaming stuff we'll talk about later, given the way things have been going.
You already know it.
So let's see. We're at 33 minutes. Let's get to baseball. Let's get this over with.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, the division series are over. The Braves are frauds.
I'm gonna say full disclaimer. I didn't watch a single bit. Just like the wild card I did with the AL DS and NLDS. What am I fighting for? I feel like an actor. What's my direction? What's my purpose? You know. But continue. I know you did some things.
I watched some
as
of the
we
games,
called,
especially the Phillies and Braves series, because I guess as a fan that has a team in that division, I have a vested interest in some sort of way, and I couldn't hate on the Braves during the playoffs while they were in it, because they did the Marlins a great service by beating the Cubs in miraculous fashion pretty much every game. So there's a momentary truce. Temporarily. But now that they've been knocked out, the Petty Dragon has come out. And my ire is most directed to that motherfucker one. Ronald Acuna Jr. Ronald Acuna Jr. because then he doesn't do shit too during the playoffs. During actual moments in the postseason, important games, Ronald Acuna Jr. just completely disappears, and suddenly all those stolen bases with the much bigger bases and the pitchers not being able to throw more than 3 times and all of those home runs suddenly don't matter anymore. Mm-hmm. Suddenly he turns...
What's the most important thing in playoffs? Is it hitting? No.
Well, it is pitching as well, but it's also clutch hitting, which... Acuna Jr. doesn't seem to be able to do. When the games are fun and he could goof around and do all kinds of stupid shit with the flying across the bases during the regular season, sure, and being a complete bitch-ass prima donna, 5.
Oh, man, Petty Dragon is here today.
During the regular season, acting like he's going to fight somebody when somebody actually needs to pull off a Jason Varitek and punch him in the face. Just like he did to A-Rod, that's what needs to happen in order for all of that to stop. But he doesn't do anything during games of importance. And I have pointed this out very, very, very clearly. It happened in the playoffs last season. The Braves won the World Series without him. He was sitting on a couch watching them win the World Series. And he started this season criticizing Alex Gonzalez, longtime major leaguer, former Marlin, for not doing shit during his career. 7, I don't know. And Alex Gonzalez actually has a World Series highlight reel. Alex Gonzalez has actually done stuff in the playoffs in actual importance against a really, really great team like the 2003 New York Yankees. And, well, all right, fine. They had the whole rigmarole, all that drama before the season started. I was part of it because I had a ton of Venezuelans discover my account when I posted some of my petty response to it, showing Alex Gonzalez's highlight reels. And World Baseball Classic happens, and this dude was initially not going to play for Venezuela, but then had to be forced to do it because everybody was calling him out. Everybody was calling him out because everybody else was putting out their best players. So he had to be coerced into it because he was too scared at the moment. And as soon as he joins Venezuela's World Baseball Classic team, he did not hit at all. I think he had like a 100-something batting average.
He was so bad.
He was really bad during the World Baseball Classic. Regular season happens, he hits and does all the things and steals all the bases, even though there's an asterisk next to it thinking he's winning Ricky Henderson when he's not. Ricky Henderson will have like 200 stolen bases with these rules.
Well, they were already doing comparisons because that's the problem with modern day social media. They like to play the what ifs, and when you have such rules that are so restricted that benefit,
my goodness gracious,
you're really going to inflate those stats.
My goodness gracious. So I don't know why I have this on the screen here, but anyways, so the Braves are killing it during the season. Their fans are obnoxious as hell. Absolutely obnoxious as hell. And you know it, and everybody else knows it.
Is a Braves fan.
Yes.
And he's just looking at me, and he looks at me staring at him intensely every time because I'm like, oh, who's that guy? Matt Olson, the guy who plays Freddie? Oh, who's Spencer Strider? Oh, who's Mark Fried? Who's Charlie Morton? He got scared, and he was right.
So, come playoff time, the Atlanta Braves sitting there, oh, we're getting all rusty. Boo-hoo, we're waiting 5 days to play a game.
I hate that rule. So I hate that excuse so much.
And everybody came out with the receipts. The 2021 Braves had 4 days before they played their first playoff game, and they won the World Series. Plenty of other teams have had long rests and have won the World Series. It's just a matter of the fact that their players could not hit. They could not step up to the moment, and they lost to who essentially is their daddy, the Philadelphia Phillies.
That they are.
Absolutely bitch slapped completely. 9. And man, it was beautiful to see. Oh, game 1, Phillies win. Game 2, Phillies, they got close, but then Bryce Harper gets thrown out, thinking that he could leg out what might have been a double if not for a miraculous catch in center. But he gets thrown out at first, and the game is over. But then Orlando Arcia comes over. And, attaboy, Harper. Man, acting like he doesn't know any English. Please, he speaks with an interpreter. Pendejo.
Pendejo.
Yes. So, is that a curse word?
Depending.
I don't know.
It's like how you have to decide cabron is a curse word or not.
Yeah.
On some men, it can mean bastard. I'm not
so
explaining. The other side is goat.
They start out, he's this man out here. Oh, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. It was reported by an actual legitimate reporter. Then they go to Philly. Phillies fans are absolutely eating this man up. Bryce Harper hits 2 home runs, stares the man down as he's rounding second base. Absolute, just, oh man, just.
Does he have
big energy? Oh yeah, Bryce Harper definitely does.
He's the aura. He's the vibe. I guess it's 5 if you're talking about the D word.
Like, he's everything that Ronald Acuna Jr. wishes he was. So Bryce Harper is that guy, and I have never felt the hate that other people have for him.
Boy, you know how much, remember, I think Andrew was one of those people when he left Washington and then Washington won the World Series. And I'm like, why do you guys hate him? Like, sometimes that just happens. That means Washington had a really well-constructed team.
Well, they had a flash-in-the-pants season, really, more than anything else.
Well, they were 500 and then they got it together. So I think that's more flash in the pan than them just winning without him.
Yeah, and then that team completely felt like that was a one-year thing.
And they relied too much on Soto as being the catalyst, whereas Soto's...
Soto, we still don't really know if he's actually worth the money.
Whereas Harper has one already, an AL Cy Young. Oh, not Cy Young, I'm sorry, different sport.
Yeah, he's got a couple MVPs
MVP.
Already. Yeah.
Got an MVP, got to the World Series. And you're going to hate me, but if you have to give me something to root for, something to believe in, I want the rematch. I want the win because rivalry is important in baseball. But I'll let you finish that thought so I can at least explain it.
Well, in any case, the Braves get bitch slapped in Philly. Absolutely. That crowd is insane. The Phillies were great. And just the way things, Bell go dong, man. Those guys just mash. They mash, and that's the only way. That's the way they beat
Kyle Schwarber, who was basically batting the same equivalent as the Yankee rookies that we had, Pereira, Cabrera, and then everybody else known to mankind, has like 40 home runs.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And he's going to connect.
Yeah.
And that goes to tell you the beauty of baseball. If you get 4 at-bats, 5 at-bats, you only need 1.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the whole reason why you have designated hitters. I hate the fact that the NL was so resistant they dare put a pitcher. Like, what do I need to see Randy Johnson have to kind of swing? You ever see Randy Johnson, of all people? He just doesn't even try. He swings before the ball is even thrown. Yeah. That's what it feels like.
So, yeah, this was a fantastic series. It kind of justified everything that people felt about the Braves. The Braves were just all flash and no substance. So it's going to be great. It's going to be great to see that team try and I guess they'll panic, try and build something out of it. They're going to try and construct a team that can only beat the Phillies.
But you know what's great though,
and that might hurt them because they won't be able to construct a team that can beat the team that can beat the Phillies, which could be Texas or Houston.
Well, what is great to add on to it, the Braves have long held on to the Anthopoulos guy. I cannot say his last name. We both know
he's
that.
Greek. Whatever.
The GM. We know one thing. He will pay you what he deems as medium salary. I think we were in the chat. I really wish sometimes Andrew would pop on so we could talk about the concept of GMs. And his whole concept was pay them when they're young because of how the collective bargaining is. So you don't have to go to arbitration because you're going to take that money now. You would have to. Strider's on for a long time. Acuna's on for a long time. It's a good habit and good style. So you're locking in on relatable stuff. So you don't have to pay them that max because they won't pay people the max. You want to know how I know they don't pay the max? Because they didn't pay Freddie.
Yeah.
And even when they get Olsen, remember Olsen we don't know if he's good or not. He's from Oakland. They just put whoever's out there. He's probably the best player on that team. But is that saying something with the quality of work is in the low years of Oakland?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. So it's like interesting because
are they going to pay? Are they going to pay for the pitching to support them through this?
And they got to, I'll tell you why, because Charlie Morton is not eternal at 39. Max Fried kind of messed it up for you guys. Strider's a stud. Like, I'm not being petty on that, man. I know he's a Braves guy and everything like that. He's got everything I want.
Yeah, he's the only one that I wish was on a different team.
So no number 3 when you have mashers. And we have both suffered the difficulty of having a average 4.5 for pitching. And then I think they need a relief because who is their closer? Was it Kelly Jensen?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and he's mid.
Yeah, he's been mid for a long time.
Yeah. He
was the best of a bad situation in L.A. We're like, we have some good analysis going on. I'm going to tap us in the back here.
Was he on the Red Sox last year?
I think he was. I think he's on the Red Sox now, but I'm thinking, or maybe, let me.
Wait, he's on the Red Sox now, isn't he?
Yeah, let me just go Braves.
He was on the Braves before. But anyways, I can't name their closer.
Raisdel Iglesias?
Okay.
Is that correct?
I have no idea. It's not Craig Kimbrell. He's on the Phillies.
Yeah. We talk about another one who's overrated.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what happened. So the Braves got absolutely teabagged by the Phillies, and it was fantastic.
And Marcell Ozuna didn't do anything.
Yeah, he's just don't drink and drive, kids. And so yeah, that was great.
So he was on the Braves last year. We were both correct. We're wrong on the assumption, but I think he screwed up last year. That's what led to him being here. So I think we have good memory, but the game left us.
Anyways, so yeah, that's what happened there. And that was that series. The Dodgers are also. I mean, I don't know.
Every year. Can I take this one? Every year, for like 4 years.
That asterisk is getting way bigger each and every season. They don't do anything in the playoffs.
You have to fire Dave Roberts, and that's really what I'm waiting on. I'm not waiting for the inevitable Cole Cy Young job that I have to give, because I remember saying in the beginning here to
Doc
you guys,
Rivers, DR as initials.
Yeah, and it's like it's similar, but how do you keep them? And you can give me injuries, but your farm system just produces so well. Your pitching coaches are so great. Everybody, your hitters were hitting at the most astronomical level. Freddie and Mookie could both have contention of top 5 NL MVPs. Mm-hmm. And then Robert's gonna Robert. And it's amazing how we always felt like Mattingly was kind of like underachieving a bit, right? And then came in Roberts, and Roberts, you take 2017, and there was obvious cheating because Alex Cora was a scumbag. I'm not counting as a curse word. And
No.
then 2020, it was the asterisks, but I'm more okay with the asterisks than you are, because why? It still counts as something. It's the same thing of equivalent of a strike shortened season, right? But
they're the
you can't get out. You can't get out. You can't get out. You should have even gone out last year, remember? Because it was against them and it was the Giants. No, it was 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago? Yeah, them versus the Giants got set up, and then there was that decisive call that happened, and it's like it seems like Dave Roberts, and that's the thing. You want to be the 100-point person. The one thing I will say is that the third wild card is still useless. The teams who were assigned the third wild card in both leagues got just washed. You guys and then Toronto.
I still feel like the Marlins had, if they had a healthy Sandy or Avery Perez, might have done something. I don't know. I'm going to harp on the Marlins again. Not yet. But anyways, yeah, we did get washed. That was game two was the actual final nail in the coffin. That was legitimately, the Marlins could not compete with the Phillies. And
so they both got washed. And remember, Toronto was the other one, and they're fraudulent. But the Orioles also got washed.
Well, that was the other thing on the list. Yeah, the Orioles got swept.
All 100-win teams got out.
Yeah,
in the first two rounds.
Yeah, and Minnesota was just like, okay, as expected. I had no confidence in the Twins beating the Astros.
Absolutely not. And it's great because the guy who you signed, who you thought he got you over the hump, getting out of the wild card. But Correa is just such garbage. I'm so glad we did not sign him. My goodness.
All right.
And it's been a hard sell for me. And let me tell you what's a hard sell, because I really don't care about baseball right now. I think I'll get into it, but Phillies I can kind of get behind, but I don't know the Diamondbacks. Corbin Carroll and then the Gallus guy, Zach Gallen, and he got like destroyed yesterday. So that was my first impression, because we live on the East Coast. I don't watch West Coast baseball that much unless like a Dodgers
still playing.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my god, I'm wondering. So I'm like, who would want him for the keep? I'm like, yeah, he's 38, he's fine. He was never really like a power hitter after he left, but whatever. And so I can't get behind it. And Houston, obviously, I only want them to get to World Series to lose to Philly. That's the big condition. I've hated everything that Texas has built, because you got to remember what Texas was doing. They were in the mid for so long. They go for Bruce Bochy, brilliant manager. We can all agree to this. So you have steadiness, and they're just like, let's just go sign big ass free agents.
Yep, just outspend.
I can't tell you who what their prospects were, but they had tried years of prospects ineffectiveness. So, and remember, it wasn't even before they got Scherzer. That was just the ice on the cake. And I like Scherzer enough that if they want it, fine, let him get 2 times.
Yeah.
But it was getting Corey Seager. It was getting all these other cats that kind of came in to help out. And it's just like a roster of production. And they have suffered the injuries, but I am very averse to teams doing what we do, because I'm very anti-Moneyball. I'm very anti-Moneyball. Andrew likes it because Andrew thinks he lived in Moneyball, and Andrew thinks that Chaim Bloom, helped Moneyball. That is inaccurate in my opinion. Moneyball is truthfully the Billy Bean mindset where we only maybe have a window. The only team I think that came closest to it, to Moneyball, was Kansas City Royals.
Yeah.
When they're going to it, the difference between we have no money to pay, which is Oakland, and people say they have money, they really don't have money in the sense of the way that the Rays, they have money, but they don't want to pay a stadium. That's two different things, right? They don't want to go into the assignment. They want to kind of make it fraudulent in the O-Town. But I never saw the Rays as being the Moneyball team, because you still sign dudes like Wander Franco to a long extension, which they did. And then Randy Arozano is probably going to be in line for it. So you're going to more of what I call the Braves playing of how they're going to do things. Get them when they're middle, go from there. But they had dudes. And also, when you talk about Moneyball, the one thing I want people to realize, there's a consequence to Moneyball. So you're not really doing Moneyball until you do this. You say, we don't need a face of the franchise. The manager and the team is the face of the franchise. Mm-hmm. And I can't name you in that Moneyball era a face of the franchise for the players that came into it. And it's been several years, of course, but that's the mentality that stays on, because they come and go. I know the faces of that supposed Moneyball era of the Rays. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's how I kind of view it. But Texas just kind of had tried it. They murked. They swung, hit and missed on stuff. So they go and get Marcus Simeon. They go and get Corey Seager.
Yeah.
They go and get Scherzer. They got Jake DeGrom, who wasn't even, and it's gonna be a shame that if he finally wins a World Series, that he can't. He didn't
do anything. Yeah.
He traded for Jordan Montgomery, who's a stud. We had him, but it was at that point where we didn't need him at that point. And look, I never said it was good or bad, but he wasn't excellent with us. He went to a team that actually had real pitching mechanics and teaching, unlike certain people. Them getting a Aroldis Chapman cracks me up because it's over. It's over. They have 3 former Yankees. 4. They have Nathan Eovaldi, former Yankee, Jordan Montgomery, former Yankee, Aroldis Chapman, and then I believe Andrew Heaney. We had him for a cup of coffee. So I'm going to claim it. If Andrew can claim silliness, I'm going to claim it. He was also a Miami Marlin as well, so you can claim him too.
Eovaldi too. Yeah.
But I've literally hated the way they construct this team for good, obvious reasons. So I need it not to happen. I like Bochy, but how great can he be? Because if he wins here, if he does it, is he not the greatest manager of all time?
Well, not all time, but he's a Hall of Fame level manager. I mean, at this point, he is. You win 3 World Series, you should get in. There's not many managers that would have won 3 World Series.
Yeah, and you've been to the World Series 3 times with 3 different teams, and this is the big what if because their pitching is kind of suspect. But I know people are like, Charles, you're crazy because his record's trash. We've talked about it. Listen to it 2 shows ago when we were talking about certain managers. Win losses does not apply in baseball. I know people hate when I say that. It doesn't, because you have the purposeful tank, and then Bud Selig for a long time, which is brushing under, and Manfred definitely brushes under. But you get 3 World Series, and then you come back out of retirement, just like, yeah, sure, why not? And then you do it,
yeah,
and you do it with ease. Torrey couldn't do that; he didn't win anything in the Dodgers.
No.
Got
close. Got to LCS twice.
Girardi couldn't do anything. In fact, Girardi was fired, and then the Phillies went to the World Series, and then might be going back.
Yeah,
I can't think of dual managers, so it's just bogs my mind. And I understand fielding the best teams and stuff like that. I get that, you guys. I understand. How could I go against our lovable Joe Torre, Mr. Ugly but Mr. Beautiful? He's Beauty and the Beast for me sometimes. Look inside your heart. I'm just saying, food for thought.
Yeah, and the Rangers are doing things the way the Mets wished that they were. This is what the Mets wanted when they were doing this. The Rangers did it right. The Mets did it wrong.
And it's so weird because the Rangers signed people that I was like, yeah, I can see it. They overpaid for some guys, but that's okay. You're supposed to do it because there's competition.
They averted disaster at so many different points where the Mets got into that disaster and just kept swirling down the drain. The Rangers are like, nope. All right, Jacob deGrom's gone. Let's get Max Scherzer. Okay, they found ways to plug up whatever holes they've got.
But then it gets even better because they're like, okay, let's get Verlander as well.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, we got this. And they get rid of one of the new acquisitions in the middle of the season as he's just injured recovering. You don't know where it could have gone. And then you fire Showalter, even though he said he was relieved of his duty. Sure, bud. Whatever you say, you just got Billy Valentine. It's all right. When he was with the Red Sox, it's ridiculous. And the Mets are always going to be a joke. Yeah. I'm always here for the Met hate train because it is never going to work. 2015 was an anomaly. You end up winning that World Series in the 80s because Bill Buckner just, kind of bungling it. If memory serves, I don't remember names, but I know the situations. You live in New York, you have to hear it. It's just delicious. And then we got you at the Subway Series, World Series. So there you go.
And all right, well, and then I guess let's see, 55 minutes. Let's talk about this. So yeah, Kim Egg's not with the Marlins no more.
Yeah,
everybody flipped out yesterday.
Andrew's so dramatic.
I didn't. I didn't. I mean, do you think I went flipped out over a GM?
No. Especially since think it was in the cards because you literally did it to Jeter. You're not going to do it to her too?
What?
Well, just everybody dismissing because there's a disagreement with the front offices.
Well, yeah. I mean, and that was the whole thing. The whole point with it wasn't the money thing. The Marlins exercised their side of the option, and she chose not to do it because she didn't want a president of baseball operations over her head. And I can't say that the Marlins' decision, or the owner, Bruce Sherman's decision, to go with, hey, I want a president of baseball operations, is not without merit because, yes, Kim Ng was able to get some good pieces during the trade deadline. but she did get some misses as well. I think Jorge Lopez from the Twins was a miss, and but she did hit with Jake Berger, with Josh Bell, but Josh Bell was temporary. He's going to opt out most likely and hit to free agency. So the Marlins may not even keep him. So that was also a temporary thing, but it worked out enough for the Marlins to make the playoffs. Jake Berger's under control at least for a few more seasons, so that's good. Luis Arias was a great trade, 1-1 with Pablo Lopez going to the Twins. The Twins got an ace. The Marlins got Venezuelan Tony Gwynn. That worked out for everybody. He's heading to arbitration. The Marlins got to pay him something, especially with 2 back-to-back batting titles. But her free agent signings, I think this past offseason is like the first one you can say, hey, this didn't have Jeter's hands all over it. Because you know how he signed Avisel Garcia, right?
Yep.
It was over a breakfast. Like, Avisel Garcia looked Derek Jeter straight in the eyes and just, like, said something to him. And Jeter's like, that's my guy. Signed to a 4-year, $53 million contract. It's one of the worst ones in baseball right now. But Gene Segura was awful. Was a travesty of a signing. The man could not hit, and we couldn't put him at short, so we had him at third. He was all right at third, but he just could not hit for anything. He had a couple moments where he had some big home runs, but nothing much after that. And then we've got Johnny Cueto.
Listen. No. Yeah.
Completely washed.
And we love Johnny Cueto for what he brought to the game.
Yeah.
He made it cool to be fat again, unlike Bartolo Colon.
That he was, he's fun, all that type of stuff. He has the wacky delivery, and he's got a ring with the Giants and all that stuff, or the Royals, one of those two teams.
It was the Royals.
And he was all right with the White Sox last season, but the White Sox are a terrible franchise. So,
but what was the running thing we said on the show? Stop paying mid-30 at the end
35.
of the career.
Yeah,
that's mid-30s. Like, stop paying them. Don't even give a roster spot. And I know that's terrible.
Yeah, he's awful. So he's an awful pitcher, and the Marlins signed him thinking that they would have certain things. But you know what? She wants to go someplace else. There's some new jobs opening up. Anaheim, you've got Mets, you've got Red Sox.
I think she would have to answer in Anaheim because they fired the assistant GM and not the GM.
And I think the other two teams have presidents of baseball operations as well. So,
and what people need to understand too, it's not like football where like GM really kind of goes up stuff, and then in basketball, unless you're LeBron, your GM will handle certain things. It is very split up in baseball for several reasons: salaries, scouting, analytics, all this other fun jazz.
So, philosophical differences at the end of all of this. And the Marlins have a problem, ultimately, is they can find pitching. They're able to find and develop pitchers. Great. But they can't find hitting at all. They have one of the worst farm systems in baseball, despite the fact that they just went through a big rebuild, and they still have a terrible farm system. So, Derek Jeter, the false prophet, failed in that regard. Kemeng is part of that failure as well, because the Marlins still can't find hitters worth a damn. So they had to trade for them from other teams. So that was the problem. So the Marlins are trying to do what the Braves have done, what the Astros have done, and the Blue Jays as well. Even though they have great hitters, they just can't hit at right times. They're pretty much just fraudulent when things matter in October. But at least something like that, the Marlins can't seem to be able to find, and they can't even do the Rays thing with the Moneyball stuff either. So they're nowhere really. They're kind of in limbo at this point. So I put up a question: when do Marlins fans think they're gonna make the playoffs next? I don't think we're making the playoffs next season, especially with our ace gone. So I'm going to say it's going to be another 2-3 years, at least.
Yeah. And if I may add on in the drama of the group chat, because Andrew's always good for seismic, right? I think he's a little troll sometimes with it, right? Where he's going to kind of pick at you and go from there.
Well, no, he likes it when things befall one of our teams, because it's like one of the few times he can get us. Yeah. But I just like he screwed up when he's like, oh, they should relocate to Nashville. I'm like, you can't talk about relocation when you're a Rays fan. You can't sell out a playoff game.
You're gonna be the Ottawa Orcas. But like I loved it. I loved it. Right?
The Ottawa Orcas. That's a great fake name for a baseball team.
Alliteration's my favorite thing. But what we bring back to Andrew is that it was so weird that he was giving so much love to. It's like he's here in spirit. That he was giving so much love to, like, you know, what a baseball president or a GM can do for a team, where like they're not the one out there actually like trying to. You can sign somebody, and they could be great players and have the worst contract in history. Or they could be low pay. Like, what's the value? Because it's still on the managers to manage. It's still on the coaches to coach. It's still on the hitters to study the tape. I'm like, oh, let's not get over dramatic here, because regardless, you still have the playoff team there. It's still on for the most part.
Score more runs than the Rays. Hurt.
Yeah, but you see what I'm saying? I'm like, what is this love? What is this love that comes into it? Because I laughed. That's all I can say.
Yeah, and for the people that are criticizing the Marlins, you screwed up a good thing. We haven't really screwed up anything. It's
you over delivered.
Yeah, if anything, those guys played over their heads, and I think that was more to the credit of Skip Shoemaker than anything else. The manager.
And he was better than Mattingly.
And if Kim Ng has any sort of influence, it was hiring that guy. Yeah. If that was ultimately her decision and not Bruce Sherman's, then it was that decision to hire him, because he did institute some sort of culture change. I think him being the type of player that he was, just kind of like a scrappy fringe starter, bench player type of guy, utility guy, that instilled on the rest of them, like, hey, this is a team full of guys like that, and we can find a way to work with it. And, you know, those Cardinals teams he was on, the 06 and 2011 ones, yeah, they had Pujols and all those guys, but they had a bunch of, like, fringe guys that barely made the playoffs and then somehow got on a run. So that's essentially what the Marlins did.
He had more credentials as a first-time manager who didn't get things better than David Ross, right? Better than Aaron Boone.
Yeah, he actually went through the minor league system. He was, hitting coach or assistant coach on a couple other teams, the Cardinals, the Padres. So he built up a actual resume and actual experience. It wasn't just like, hey, I'm good on TV, I'll be good at managing, like Aaron Boone.
And why it matters is because it goes back to the point I made not too long ago. Your players they're the ones who are producing for you. So whether you're even the manager, because we have our manager who always seems to get him a goddamn way, or even your general managers and or presidents of baseball, whatever you want to title it as, because there's so many different things these days. The players still have to produce, and that's okay. And some managers rest on those people's laurels. Mattingly is the example of what he was doing in the Dodgers. I don't know if Don Mattingly was actually a good manager. I think there was legitimate concern when, after Joe Torre left New York, he was like, that Cashman and Rennie Levine were like, we don't want Don to be the manager.
They hired
and you would
outside.
Think,
well, not technically outside. It was Joe Girardi, but
hired who you wouldn't consider. I did not expect Girardi, but it was only by happenstance because he produced that good season
with the
in Miami, and then he told Loria to go F himself.
Yeah.
And then it's like, because it was a better opportunity. But if you couldn't beat a guy who had arguably just one okay season because he got manager of the year because he was able to come back and make him to playoff contenders at close to 500, I don't recall.
Yeah.
That wasn't better than Don Mattingly when Don was on the bench as your hitting coach, I believe, for such a long time. And that wasn't good enough. It tells you a story.
Yeah. Yeah, so
this is some deep analytics. I'm very proud of
this. Well, I mean, it's an explanation as to I can see why everybody was flipping out that doesn't know the Marlins, because it's easy to shit on the Marlins 11, and I get that. I'm a Marlins fan. I do it all the time.
I know what this reminds me of when we count. Remember that episode of South Park where they got the licensing to say from the FCC shit, and then they have to go up and they say like 200 times.
I should find a counter thing that I can just click and it'll shoot up every time we say one.
Yeah, and this is a calm week for me too, so I'm not expecting to curse a lot. There's the Mario Cristobal nonsense, but at this point I don't have to. I'm just gonna be like the very disappointing single mother of 5 and just stare at somebody.
So yeah, I could see why the Marlins did it. I could see what's going, and I see the vision what Sherman wants to do, because I think he actually does care about the team. I think he actually does care about how this thing is growing. And the Marlins did actually make some actual strides with with crowds and everything like that.
Freaking,
Next season's
freaking Andrew. Francisco, I would relocate. I don't know if he was kidding or not. And knowing if you guys have never really met Andrew like that, if you're a show, sometimes it's deadpan, sometimes he's dead set serious.
I just don't want people to be like, oh, like the virtue signaling with the like, oh, she was a woman, and like, no, it wasn't that. She, if anything, this is actually great for equality based on merit. They were like, no, no, we don't want you. Go find someplace else. And the Marlins have candidates, which includes possibly the Baltimore Orioles, one of their assistant GMs, who's a woman. It could be a guy out in Toronto. There's a few people out there that could be good candidates for this job. So with an actual president of baseball operations, which I don't see what the problem was with that, but she wanted more power. And that is understandable, given that she's been in baseball for like 20 plus years, and she feels like she can get that type of power. But she's also like, this is what, year 3 of her as a GM?
It was only 3.
Yeah, 3 years. So yeah.
So you did have 2 years of futility, to which you had to make a big approach to get rid of Mattingly.
Yeah.
So you could see it as both. I think Sherman kind of identified, I won't say that you guys got unlucky. I think that's unfair to a lot of people, every team. You never hear me say, oh, they were lucky to kind of get in, they were lucky to win. I think you just realize, okay, I got the scrap, but do I want the scrap off the bone, or do I want the full steak?
Right.
And I think it is. What's the roster construction? Because to be fair, the people that she signed, I'm like, who the hell are these people?
Yeah.
And that's not a good thing when you're paying them bigger money. And you mentioned that
it's
too.
not a good thing when you pay them bigger money and you see a team like Tampa Bay sign guys who are like, who the hell are these guys? And they're winning 99 games, Mm-hmm. So I'd rather have those guys that I don't know who the hell they are compared to these guys who I don't know who the hell they are, or, oh, he's still playing. That was the other thing with the Marlins. Like, that guy's playing? Okay. We have Gene Segura, who is a okay shortstop that just happened to ride the Phillies train last season. It wasn't because of him. Yeah. So anyways, we're at an hour and 9 minutes. It's a word from our non-sponsors, people, places, things, concepts, what have you, that we have been enjoying over the last week. And I'm sick, Charles.
Okay.
My non-sponsor is NyQuil.
Yes.
So it was easy for me because I've been sick since Friday. Friday's when I started to feel it. Saturday I was like, okay, and then Sunday it hit, and then Monday I woke up like, ugh. Tuesday, today I woke up like, ugh. But I feel like I'm getting over it. But yeah, it is NyQuil. It's helping me get to sleep. It's helping me be able to have some modicum of actual sleep, which is good, and knocking me out. And my nose is stuffy and all that jazz. I don't know what the actual, because I don't have technically the actual NyQuil. I have the off-brand Publix version of NyQuil. But it's whatever the technical name for NyQuil is, that's what I have. And it works good, right? It's for, Vicks. It reminds me of Vicks Vapor Rub. Oh my gosh. Every Latino knows about Vicks Vapor Rub. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've had the experience, Charles, of your mother or father completely stuffing your nose full of Vicks Vapor Rub and rubbing it on your chest and then sending you to school the next day, despite the fact that you feel like you're dying.
Yeah, it was my grandmother. My mother would just give me Robitussin, and Robitussin is my least favorite. I remember there was a point, I'm 6 years old, and I spat out the Robitussin, and she hit me with a broom. And
There it is, Charles. There it is, the Latino experience. But NyQuil, because I was hearing my dad talking about my nephew. I think I got the cold from my littlest baby nephew. And my dad was like, yeah, I have to give him some Vapor Rub. I'm like, I hate Vapor Rub. I just told him, Papi, you guys would just stuff my nose full of it. And it has this, it's not an odor. It's not, I don't know what you would call the thing. It's
petroleum jelly with the scent of the devil's piss is how I would call it.
Yeah. essentially it's acid. It's battery acid. That's how it feels going into your nose. But it is a staple amongst Latinos, and if we do have kids, Charles, I feel like we must keep up the tradition.
Oh, not me.
You're not gonna keep up the tradition of rubbing Vicks Vapor Rub all over your kid's chest, just amply rubbing it, and then just stuffing dollops of goo into their nose.
But you guys got to remember one thing: the great divide of Hispanics to other Hispanics are what part of the Americas you're from. South America, so it's literally caldo de pollo, man. We're just gonna do anything with the bone broth that kind of comes in the bone broth, and we're gonna be doing NyQuil Dayquil.
Okay.
Sopita, man. It would literally be a sopita, and then you would put in like cream cheese just so it tastes good. That was grandma's house. That's mom's house. My father, he was like, "I'll just blow some cigar smoke on you. You're okay."
Oh man. So that's my non-sponsor there. And I guess I'll give a secondary one if you want. You can do a secondary.
Yeah, no, you get your secondary. You could be Andrew. I've stolen a couple of them from you.
I'll give it to mondongo.
Mm-hmm. Tell them what it is.
So mondongo is a traditional Latin soup. Every for the most part, they're all kind of the same, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody's kind of has the same basic ingredients, but it's tripe. It's either sheep stomach or cow stomach of some sort, and you gotta wash it, you gotta boil it, it takes a while because that thing is like it's like a towel, so it's hard, and then you gotta boil it till it's just soft enough and chewy enough. I like the chewiness. It's the texture for me. I kind of like it. It feels like I'm eating a sponge, really. But there's a nice chewiness and texture to it that I just really enjoy. But it's full of all kinds of fantastic ingredients. Lots of vegetables. You got yuca in there. You got potatoes. You got squash. And some people stick avocados in there.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Not counting because I didn't say complete, but you already know how I feel about avocados.
They got carrots in there, but they got the stomachs.
Did your grandmother ever make you suck oranges when you were sick if you had a sore throat?
Well, I didn't have the grandma experience.
Oh, okay.
But in any case,
mother?
I didn't really suck oranges. I think I might have sucked lemons or limes.
I mean, maybe it's anything acidic, because they both all have vitamin C.
Yeah. And then, and you get the sunburn. Your parents cut the piece of aloe vera and just rub that sticky thing on your skin.
There's no such, and with people on the other side, there's no aloe vera in New York. I just want people to understand that. Like, I'm sure you can get it at a store, but not like a fresh plant. Anybody
that lives south of that and not in an urban area, your parents probably do have. If you're Latino, you probably do have an aloe vera plant growing someplace that you might need one day. In any case, and of course you stick other things in there like cow feet, hooves. So, and I don't know, there's something about that meat that's pretty good to chew off too. So, it's a very traditional Latin American soup. I love it and I enjoy it. My mom helped me make it one day a few weeks ago. That was a fun experience. It takes a long time. Mm-hmm. There's a fantastic video on YouTube of this guy that does it the traditional Nicaraguan way. And the next time I try and do it myself, I don't have the materials to do it myself. Unfortunately,
it's a lot of buying of food for like one dish and like a half.
But it's a lot. No, it's a lot. You get the whole pot, Charles. You get a big, giant, massive pot.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's you'll have enough for like a week. It's because you're making it not just for yourself. You're making it for a lot of people. So it's not small portions that you're doing this for. But yeah, mondongo. So I've been ordering it from a Nicaraguan cafeteria. So, but it's not as good as my mom's homemade ones, of course. However, it's good enough for me, and I've got some more sitting in my fridge for tomorrow. So mondongo, I guess NyQuil and mondongo together, promo code Sleepy Cow.
All right, Sleepy Cow. That's a good one. So Now I can finally talk about spooky season, guys.
Yeah.
It is October 17th, and one end of spooky season, I had to start it kind of early, August, like late August, to get Dead Space, which was great. I think we were on the show, but I highly recommend it. Then we went to Resident Evil 3 remake, which was good for the price I got it. It's a 7. And then came Resident Evil 4, and I like to keep my Resident Evils, my spooky season, my gaming. But the reason why we couldn't start in October is because this Friday we have to go with the most disappointing game known to mankind, called Spider-Man 2. As the reviews dropped, I'm just like, the two trusted sources I get put as an 8, which is fine. It's fine, but you have to understand, I hit the high. I hit the peak. I've been chasing the dragon, proverbially and literally speaking, right? Metaphorically, literally, all figuratively, all the fun stuff since we played Zelda. And that was in May. And I can believe the 9s and the 10s, sure, but it's the 8s from where I got it from, but I'm still going to get it.
The 8s kind of signify that it's going to be good.
Yeah.
But it's not
8s are fine.
It's not rock your socks off, oh, this is the next evolution of this. It's
and
more of like, okay, it's incremental improvements, or it's more of the same. If you liked what you had before, you're going to like this.
And that's the problem, because it's either there's no room for growth from their 8 could be mine. You know what I mean? It means that their 8 is going to be my 9. But I played some 9s, including the game I'm about to sponsor. Sifu was a 9. I think you can make debates about Dead Space being a 9, even though my feelings kind of generally get it to a 8.5. However, there is one game that I've played this year that I've hit the territory of 9.5. And I played this game when I was 15 years old, 18 years ago, 3 times. That's right, kids. We played Resident Evil remake, or Resident Evil 4 remake. We put in 18 hours, and then we also played the DLC. So this is just for RE4 remake, not Separate. Separate is fine. It pads in some missing stuff for Ada Wong. But I digress. Resident Evil 4 changed the way of things. And then when I heard they were making the remake, I was like, ooh, girl, I don't know. Like, Resident Evil 2 remake was good. Resident Evil 3 remake was whatever. But how do you make it work? And it works. It works. I remember playing the demo, and I was like, I don't know. And then they fixed it. It's the same story. Leon Kennedy is brought into possibly Spain, Portugal. They won't call it like Europe or one of the two countries, but it's that kind of area. He's now an agent from the sequel. The motherland, right? Really, really is for us, right? Maybe for you. Definitely for me. But he's brought in to save the president's daughter, and in there he finds more to the horror that he had once encompassed as he's dealing with the PTSD of what he dealt with, the events that happened in Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 2 remake. So you get to control as Leon, but they changed the bells and whistles. The Resident Evil engine, the RE engine, is beautiful. Everything works well. Everything looks good. It has the right kind of vibe. The facial features don't seem cheap. Combat's good. We'll talk about that in a second. But the story, they made some changes. I don't know if I liked all the changes that they made story-wise. And I don't want to like spoil it in between, but it takes away from the main antagonist. It puts onto the sub-antagonists, the secondary villains. And it did get some spotlight to other people like Luis Serra. But the vibe is scary. Going to the village is always going to be the scariest part of it. You know, when you get to the castle and to the island, it does become more action. But that's what made me kind of fall in love with Resident Evil, because that Resident Evil 4 was my first Resident Evil game. But the reason why it was interesting, why I got on the GameCube, because remember, it was a GameCube exclusive for so long. So it was able to get in there. And now I have really played all the Resident Evils, except for some of the stuff like Code Veronica and all that stuff. If they remake it, I'll do it in a heartbeat. Yeah, and I didn't play 7 because 7, Revelations as well. Well, but I know what happens. You know, you YouTube and stuff like that. You know, I love Village. It is kind of thing, as there's always a Mario in December. It feels like there's always a Resident Evil in October, in spooky season.
Hispanic Heritage Month.
Hispanic Heritage Month. Yeah, that's right. We're raising the dead, right? Isn't that our thing anyway? And it's funny because I beat it right before Hispanic. How do you have Hispanic Heritage Month go from September 15th to October 15th?
Mid-September to mid-October.
I'm like, what?
None of the almost all the NHL teams are trying to get in the. And I got to talk about that after this segment. But
yeah, but like, great graphics, great soundtrack, great voice acting. I liked Ada Wong as voice actor. You guys need to get Lily Gal and leave her all on. She was fine for what she had to be as a mercenary. It was a great tie-in. I don't think they need to make Resident Evil 5 as a remake. They're going to, and whatever. I'll play it. We all know I'm going to play it. But Leon's still my favorite character. I know people love Chris. I love Claire. Leon is better here than he was in RE2 remake. Ashley's much more easier to work with because remember, this is 2005, so it was all like, okay, you have to do escort mission eternally, right? But good graphics. My two complaints that came into it, because the grade is a 9.5, and I thought about it, because some places gave it a 10, but I feel like giving it a 10 is being in love with the moment, a slave to the moment. But the 9.5 hits on all those things where I was annoyed sometimes, but I was always engaged. And that's the pointers that come in there. It's kind of easy. I didn't die a lot, and I went on standard difficulty. And when I did die, it's because I was too tired and I didn't think, or I just like overshot it. And they do some things to kind of buff around. They do side missions now, of like not side missions, but like little things for the merchant, things like that nature. So I appreciate that. I didn't get all of them because I missed like one, and that took me away from it. But the boss battles are very thrilling. I hate Salazar beyond belief. So getting the opportunity to just like kill him again at 34 is very, and it's not a spoiler. The game's been around for 18 years, is not a spoiler. But to be able to do that again as an adult and be like, yeah, I hate you even more now, it's just beautiful. But my only complaint is the shooting can be a little off. And it's not because it's badly tamed, it's because it's really in line of how they handle reload speed. And I think that's sometimes the consequence of the first-person shooters. And I know what you're saying, Charles. Didn't you like play Resident Evil Remake a couple years ago for 2? Didn't you just play Resident Evil 3 Remake? Yes, Resident Evil 3 Remake's more action. That was easy. Village is a first-person shooter, so the mechanics are different. But it was just that. Like sometimes a headshot didn't feel like a headshot. Sometimes the sniping wasn't accurate. Maybe it was me. Maybe I didn't have the proper kind of stick going on. That was my one complaint. Parrying is in there. That's cool. I will replay this. And that's the reason why I kept it 9.5, because I knew when I finished it, I said, I'm going back at it again. I'm going to go back to WoW, because when you replay it, you can buy new machinery. You can buy new equipment. You can buy new weaponry. You can get the infinite rocket launcher, which I remember getting on my second playthrough all those years ago. And, it just, you can just shoot out and then go off game. So it's not nostalgia. It is learning to love again. And God, guys, it was just fantastic. So very appreciative. 9.5. I think it overtakes Sifu. And I think you got to do it, because did you ever hear me bitch and complain about Resident Evil 4? You never really heard me complain about Sifu either. No. And I was always engaged. I put in good times. It's a short game, like 18 hours, but I think all horror games need to be around that time frame. I actually would advocate for less. 12 hours, that's it. You're telling a story. You're telling a horror story. You want to marinate unless you have a good cast of characters. But it was focused. It was precise. It was still cheesy. It was charming. It got the upgrade, coming into it. It wasn't that, like, it wasn't Hot Goof Summer where Francisco and I were coming in like this, and now here we are doing videos and stuff. Don't ask, kids. Don't ask. I sold out. But it was a nice touch-up. It's a little bit of Botox, right? You're still beautiful, but you want to fight the age lines. But I think I was always engaged. I know I'm going to replay it. And that concerns me where Spider-Man's going to get to. Because, yes, I did replay Remastered. And, yes, I did replay Miles because we had a sequel coming in. But is it the fact that, one, the expectations are too high post-Zelda, and I need really Sony to do this for me, because their high-profile sequels that were announced that I was into didn't fully stick the landing. Why? Because Last of Us 2, which I actually liked. Some people didn't, because I think they don't want to venture into having characters that are trans, bisexuals, lesbians, a lot of stuff you can go into that game. I think purely it was more about objective revenge, a consequent telling a novel. People were expecting 10. I gave it an 8.5. I remember my friend was like, nah, it's trash. And he replayed it. It's like, yeah, no, you're right. And then Horizon Zero Dawn sequel, Horizon Forbidden West, upon reflection, is really like a 7.5 because it's so bloated. The one that I enjoyed that was a sequel that came out of nowhere was Ratchet and Clank, which I did play this year, Rift Apart. But, the sequels got me kind of worried now. And then so I'm concerned because a game that I knew was going to be good, you have to do it in the right setting. I don't know if I would feel this way February or March coming into October. But there's a time and a place, right? You watch Christmas music on Christmas. You don't watch it in like March unless you're a weirdo. And sometimes you guys are those weirdos. I'm just saying that right now. But it's that 9.5. So could it maybe I'm a prisoner to the moment, and then we're slinging back in. No pun intended with Spider-Man, swinging back in. But is it the fact that my fear is that Spider-Man's gonna be my third or fourth favorite game? I can't deal with that. But it is my second favorite game this year, and was a love of one of my favorite games, bottom 10 of all time for the original one. The remake, as you get older, is kind of tough. They kind of go from there. Resident Evil 4, get you some. Please go from there. I don't need a 5 remake, but at this point, I'll take it. Loved it, enjoyed it. Everything was just what I wanted to be, and then some. And you know what? With the right changes they made to how the gameplay was good, And some of you will live a story. So that's mine. Promo code Damn You Salazar. You have him on the screen. Look at him. Don't. No, he looks like what's her name? Meryl Streep's play of Margaret Thatcher in The Iron Lady, except it's in a like 4'8" Hispanic man who just keeps cackling at you. I hate him so much. Damn you, Salazar.
All right. Okay, so we're at an hour 27, and I kind of want to keep things moving along. So I think, let me look at my list here. I actually don't feel like talking about this while I'm sick. Hockey's happening. Hockey is going. There's some controversies happening with hockey with specialty nights.
Yep.
And the fact that they've kind of sort of banned any sort of on ice celebrations of whatever heritage night, military appreciation night. The big thing was this all happened because of the Pride Nights. It started last season when a few players decided that they were good Christian boys and wanted to not wear it, even though a few of them have worn them before and didn't have issues with it. And the rainbow is supposed to be the covenant, the sign of the covenant that God wouldn't flood the earth no more. So I think you can make it biblical if you feel like it. But in any case, colors are taboo for them. And despite the fact that a lot of players, especially the younger ones, were like, we have no issues with this. We kind of like the tape that's rainbow colored. And now it's like they can't have the pride tape. It has to be a single color, but it can be any color that they want, Charles, which is so they can have every color of the rainbow, but it has to be that one color on their sticks. My idea was, well, you could have like 8 players have 8 different colors and all lining up next to each other and have their sticks next to each other. And you can have, have like a statement like that. That's my idea. But in any case, that's what's going on in the NHL. And a lot of people have poo-pooed it because the NHL is desperately trying to get new fans. And with this move, they're curtailing to their certain demographic that really does like hockey a lot, but they also don't like other people that are not like them a lot, white Protestant men, essentially. And you also push away other groups, possibly, given that we are Latinos. Roy Bellamy is a big hockey fan, but he's black, and you can't celebrate other people and try and include them in the sport because you're trying to exclude other people from the sport, even though you're saying you're not excluding them, but in a way you are saying it. You
guys are fake and phony. Just outright say that you hate anybody who's different than you and has different philosophies. So I'll respect you more.
It's hypocritical in a sense for the NHL, and it's disappointing for him. I've already written about controversial stuff with the NHL. I've had Canada mad at me before, so I really don't give a shit. 13. My feelings are, of course, you kind of ruined a lot of these fun things. The San Jose Sharks just had a Pride Night with their tiburones merchandise, and I showed it to you, and it's basically like, what if the Mexican flag seal with the eagle with the snake on top of the cactus, but a shark. And it looks awesome. That would have been pretty cool to see. And they only do these for the warm-ups. It's not like they actually wear the actual rainbow colors or Latino heritage colors or the black heritage colors on the ice during the games. Baseball goes further with that. They actually wear the pride colors on the field. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they have the military appreciation jerseys that they wear on the field, or the Father's Day prostate cancer stuff, or the Mother's Day pink breast cancer stuff. So you can't do that in the NHL now. You can't do any of it.
I think what annoys me about it, there's so much that annoys me with it, but the thing that annoys me is that you do, to a degree, have to give deference to the fans because they are a reason of how income is generated, why ownership might want you, stuff like that.
Okay.
Your fans, whether or not you think it goes against religious beliefs, cultural beliefs, stuff like that, you have people who actually like you and they're happy that you're on the team, and you might be an escapism for them. It's a fandom, right?
Yeah.
And if you're going to bring that in, you're really excluding people who you have no ties with that actually they know more about you and they're more absorbed to you. And we're not talking about the Twitter ways. We're talking about like kids, adults, things like that. And you have shunned them when they've done nothing wrong to you. And that's the typical issues with prejudice. Prejudice makes no sense. Yeah. It's easy to hate human beings. We all suck at some points, right? There's some people who, dip their sandwiches in ketchup. Those are weird guys, right? Mm-hmm. But that's a callback. But it grow up. And then I forget sometimes
what my flag would look like. It's to be red.
Yeah, pretty much.
Red, green. It looked like the Burger King, the uniforms, basically.
Fair enough. And I think what happens is I forget that some of these players are young. I'm 34, and some of these guys who are proponent who have a say for whatever reason.
Yeah. I mean, you have
are 20, 21.
Yeah, you have some of your stars saying, I don't have problems with it, like Connor McDavid and, guys like that. So it's like, you got your superstars who have no problem with it, but you have a few guys that were like, no. And it's not like you can't include their stuff. Like, I've seen baseball teams, I think the Marlins had one this year. They have the advertisements of he gets us with like Jesus and stuff like that. I always read it as Jesus, and it seems like when Jesus Sanchez is coming up to bat, it's like, yeah, he does get me. but they've had Faith and Family Night. That's what they had. They had a basically Christian heritage night, essentially.
So nothing for an atheist orphan. I see how you are, NHL.
So,
okay.
Well, no, that wasn't the NHL, but it was baseball teams have done that too.
There you go, baseball. That's right. That is baseball.
They've done, Jewish heritage nights as well. So it's not like you can't do those either. So they've shunned out all of that. They've shunned out the military appreciation stuff, which really certain people that believe in that are really, really proponents of that stuff too. So it's those people ruined it for everybody, and the NHL just became less fun for a lot of people. When the NHL needs to be more fun because the game is fun. I like the fact that I'm a Latino that likes the sport, and I try and promote the sport as a Latino, as someone that's like, hey, this guy's doing great. Alec Martinez has a couple of Stanley Cup rings. Austin Matthews is one of the best guys in the league, and he's half Mexican. Like, there's a Nicaraguan who's got his name on the Stanley Cup. Like, there's all of these great things, and it's like, oh yeah, we could celebrate that, but let's not celebrate too much. It's boring. It's boring. It's dumb. So that was my take on it. I've had it on my list for a couple weeks now, but now we finally got to talk about it. So I said we weren't going to talk about it, but hey, we are. That's cool. Okay. All right, Charles, we're at 1 hour, 34 minutes. I have this on here. The U is not back.
That's fine. I did not at any point did I ever say they had a chance at UNC. Yeah. But if you really want me to talk on this, go ahead.
No, I mean,
No.
I made a comment with my Marlins history thing, saying the Marlins were back before the U was, and I did it as a troll. And Andrew's not the only one that likes to troll, but I didn't respond to like that one guy that wrote something there.
Oh yeah,
like,
so can I give my disclaimer on the two things real quick? First off, y'all are fake on Twitter. If you're gonna get angry or respond to people that has nothing to do, like Francisco putting his like opinion about the U not being back is literally not like an insult to your mother. It's not a gun to the family. It's that grow up. 2, follow us on Twitter. FJOJR, Charles the True, Dan Frijoles, Sports_Goofs, Marlin Historian, Panther Historian, all that other fun jazz.
Yeah. So that was funny. I could have responded, but I think I'll respond here, really. And to all those Hurricanes fans out there, it's not you, Charles, but the ones that are just delusional as all hell every single year. You guys fall for it every year. Every single year that you are back when you beat Bethune-Cookman. And hire ex-coach who used to be with the U 25 years ago, 30, 40 years ago, when they were actually good and they didn't have all of this competition, and they just can't. can't keep up because you're a tiny university with a very small alumni base, and all of your fans outside of that are not part of your alumni base and don't like to spend money at all. So you have very few boosters out there. And it's been a long time, and I'm just going by the lower standards of Hurricanes fans. I would argue the Marlins have gotten closer to a World Series championships since their 2003 title, and 2003 was the last time the Hurricanes played a national title game, than the Miami Hurricanes have been to a national championship. The Marlins have gotten closer than the Hurricanes have in the last 20 years.
Right, that high of Mark Rick's 2018, 2019, the one time they got ranked number one for 1 week and then blew it.
Yeah, and then absolutely, blew it to like Pitt and then lost in I don't know what bowl game. I don't think you guys have played an actual real bowl game. If you have, you lost it. So like one of those, the New Year's Six ones that Andrew keeps talking about. Yeah. So the Hurricanes have been far gone. So the bar has been lowered. The standards are so low that I can claim that the Marlins getting a wild card spot in an expanded playoff and getting trashed by the Phillies is closer and means that they are back more than the Hurricanes have been back, and they haven't been back since 2003.
No lie has been said in any of your statement.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to keep it brief for timing, and also
And I'm not saying it as an FSU fan because, hey, but I can legitimately
FSU's back.
I can legitimately claim Florida State is back. They came back last year. Last year is when they came back.
FSU is definitely good on Mark Norvell. Here we were a couple of years ago questioning it as he was coming from Kentucky, Memphis. And I'm like, but when you get boosters out of the way and you let a guy actually recruit and you take advantage of the transfer portal in a different light, unlike what
he's Mark a youngish coach,
you can actually get time to recruit. You get production. Whether or not they can hold on to the five for long, debatable.
We'll see.
UNC does. I think people are really missing what Mac Brown's doing. But I'll take it for the reins here to keep it in a 2-minute talk. Mario Cristobal's a fraud. I hate him. He's fake Miami. He's fake everything. He's a sleeper cell agent for the state of Oregon, working in conjunction. They played UNC. UNC is ranked number 18. We were ranked number 25 because of our failed loss from last week, where we just kind of like fumbled because we didn't kneel the ball. That happens, right? No, it doesn't. But I digress. So we were up like 17-14, if memory serves me right, going into the halftime. I'm at the ale house. You predicted it. You knew. I was like, I haven't.
Charles was asking, I need to find a place with the TV tonight. I'm like, oh, Charles is getting wings.
I literally bloated myself with, so much pretzels, fries, drinks, chicken wings. I should just sponsor it. I felt 22 again, to be honest with you. But
your brain felt 22. Your body.
Yeah. Well, no, I take enzymes. Digestive enzymes, guys. Source Naturals. Just do it. You'll thank yourself for it. It helps everybody. Farts happen, but you don't need to crap yourself when you fart. So I'm just watching, and I haven't watched baseball. I watched some college to a degree. It was available, but not sit down. And enzymes help out, man.
That should be on a shirt.
Yeah. Sometimes, right? So we're 34 and 35, guys.
Oh, man. My voice is back now. That
so
helps the soul.
And listen, the Ale House makes some 24 wings for $29.99.
Schwarber just hit another home run.
Well, but Jesus Christ. 24 wings for $29.99. It's a good deal. So anyway, I'm watching it, and we come back from halftime, and what I've been saying, what I said last week in my very, very string of thought conversation about Mario Cristobal, but now it's more focused. He wants to make the U so much like Oregon, to be this high-end passing team, to get, just the top of the line, Heisman votes and stuff like that, because he thinks that's what recruiting is. And that's not what the U, what they have produced has been, defense. Greg Rousseau, Jalen Phillips, they came in as first rounders, as edge rushers, right? They're doing great. Well, Jalen Phillips is doing great in the Dolphins. I don't know what's going on in Buffalo. David Njoku is a tight end, biggest set of balls in the NFL. What he's going through the burns. we don't produce offensive guys. The highest running back we've got is Travis Homer, who I think was a 7th rounder. Our highest quarterback was Brad Kaya coming into the 5th round, right? Like, what do you want to come into? But he wants to put Tyler Van Dyke, who was kind of a problem last year. And this problem, again, the guy throws 3 picks. He can't read the defense. You can't play control ball. Chris Ball runs out too much. And I'm just like crying. And the defense give up. But you know what my problem is, Francisco? They lost 41-31, but they were outscored. It was like 30-something, like 17. And it's going to be like, oh, in those final 5 minutes, we saw some offensive gears. But I'm like, it should have gone into this. I don't know if May, their quarterback, is going to be a top 5 production. But yeah, if Daniel Jones can get drafted, what else can happen, right? Did he come from UNC or somebody else came from UNC? Was it Josh Rosen? I think it was. No, Josh Rosen UCLA. The brain goes at times. Something will come into mind. I digress. I think it was Daniel Jones. But it's just so disappointing because it's like, I'm in the catch-22 where you can't fire him because you're using him for the boosters to get new stuff onto the team and the programs. And he's getting some recruits.
Wait,
and
you're
he's
asking where Daniel Jones came from?
Yeah, he's a UNC. Duke? Okay, never mind. It's all Carolina to begin with, but there was a UNC quarterback who was drafted. Anywho, going back to everything else I was talking about, just why we don't need this. This doesn't happen. We don't have to play into everything, but we can't get rid of him. It is really. Is this how you felt, Sam Howell from UNC? Thank you. Is this how you felt when you had Willie Taggart? Because I think it's debatable if Willie was good or bad, or he was suffering from discriminatory boosters, which I think he was. But when you're really like kind of going there and you're sitting, you're just like, damn, I got to get this for a few more years. Because with Mark Rick, it was like, oh, hey, why not, right? Why not? Mitchell Trubisky is the other UNC example of getting a first-round draft pick from UNC that didn't play at all. And then you had a few other guys, but you're like, why not? And then you see them and then you're like, oh, I regret this. And then that's what I'm calling Cristobal, because what was the whole thing about Cristobal? I'm like, how do you lose your own bowl game that you play when you're on your way out? Most coaches just leave. Got to go straight to recruiting, as they say, which means I'm just going to sip my ties and make that money. I don't like him. The U is not back. The U is not going to be back for a long time. That defense gave up 100 yards. Everything was a goddamn mess. That offense is a goddamn mess. 10, 11, I think I'm at. And Tyler why are you even put in the biggest game? Because you screwed last year, but that wasn't on Van Dyke. Van Dyke got you essentially that win. You just didn't kneel it. But in the biggest game against the true medal, because I still don't count that win as Texas A&M, I just think Jimbo Fisher at this point. What are you going to get? I'm not like Andrew, who takes pride in being into like the Saison's Bowl, New Year Bowl that comes into it, or Old Bay Bowl. I don't care about any of that. But what I care about is, it's about how you get recruiting, and wins gets you recruiting at the end of the day. And yes, the transfer portal has done great to kind of create equilibrium. Screw you, Alabama, right? Seriously. But if you're not winning, if you're having a coach who makes boneheaded decisions, who doesn't do offensive plans, who blows it up, are you going to want to play there? Are you going to get the 4-star recruits on the transfer portal? Or not, I'm sorry, are you going to get the 4-star guys, that kind of sign in? Are you going to get the transfer recruits? I would venture no. You have to play the long con. That's what Mike Norvell's done. That's what FSU did. I'm going to use that as a high example. I can't speak to Gus Malzahn. I don't know what's going on in UCF, but I'm also, because Andrew's our resident
college
football guy, but Big 12 kind of, you got to wear your big boy pads there, bud. Big boy pads. And, what happens is you guys are still wearing the hand-me-downs from your other brother. You don't have it when it fits, right? Anywho.
Alrighty.
The U is not back.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go down the petty train. Let's see, NFL week.
I'm checking on UCF's record right now.
5, yeah. 5 or 6. It is week 6. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 6.
Yeah. All right, so week 6. And let's go down the list. So starting with Thursday Night Football, the Chiefs beat the Broncos.
Snooze.
Yeah.
Man, Sean Payton's just terrible. It's great. And he wants to trade everybody. I'm like, what makes you think? Like, a year ago, I'm told that Nathaniel Hackett butchered it with the roster he had. Now you're telling me that the roster's not good enough? What is this?
The Dolphins beat the Panthers. There's not really much for me to say here. Panthers not a good football team. The Dolphins did what they needed to do.
Tanking the right way goes in between. There you go.
And it's not really much petty Grinch stuff that I can do with this one.
I will.
But next week,
I will.
Next week they play the Eagles.
Yeah,
and
you can definitely come to light.
Petty Dragon's going to come out in San Antonio if they find a way to lose that one, because that would be 2 games. If the Dolphins lose to the Eagles, 2 games against actual football teams, so they would be 0-2 against those teams. That's what I'm saying.
I said it last week. I'll say it again. Good luck if Tyreek Hill gets hurt.
Yeah.
Or if he gets a corner that actually knows how to cover him.
Last year Jalen Waddle got hurt at the end, and the Dolphins were kind of shorthanded there at the end of the season, and Tyreek was also hurt too. He was kind of playing injured, and if anything happens to Tua, this season's over. So, yeah, the Dolphins are hanging on by a very thin thread with those 3 pieces, just because of they really have. You can't. That system you can't plug in anybody else. It's
you have no one
for
else to really like. Chase Claypool is now your new guy. And Cedric Wilson's had to restructure his contract.
Yeah, throughout all of this, I don't really criticize Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, he hasn't messed it up. He's good.
No, I that's the one thing that my petty ire has never really been directed towards him, because I actually think he's doing a good job. So, all right. The Texans beat the Saints.
Oof, man. Derek Carr, right?
Yeah. Derek Carr finding a way to his way to another loss.
Dennis Allen's gone, that's for sure. But the thing is, you're stuck with Carr for another 3 years on that contract, and the Saints are always in hell when it comes to salary cap. So that's Jehovah.
C.J. Stroud with another 2 touchdowns. And
I like him, man.
Yeah, everybody's giving a nice good look at Houston. They're 3-3.
Yeah, there's something likable about them.
Very, very nice, scrappy young team that their rebuild might actually be doing all right. And in the AFC South,
it's doable.
It's very doable. 9 wins could win it. 8 wins might win it for you. So, all right, Washington beat Atlanta. So our favorite low-brained quarterback.
Did you see the pick? I sent it because I have to run it, man.
He threw 2 touchdowns, but he threw 3 interceptions in a very low-brained moment for him. Sam Howell threw 3 touchdowns himself for Washington.
I cannot read that, man. I don't know if he's just taking opportunity on bad defense or if they actually have somebody who's a fringe starter. But it's better to get that on that cheap contract and build a better team. True.
And but our favorite low brain boy having low brain moments. He's going to be a favorite of ours, Charles, going from here on out.
And he's a good person. I'm putting that disclaimer, but I didn't see him up the smuff in Cincinnati. He got blown out by Bama, and then he gets drafted in like the 3rd round, and he gets basically handpicked by Arthur Smith to get there when they had other dudes to trade for and go with, or at least try to sign or draft. And it's just like, and yeah, he only threw like 1 pick last year because he started on the low end. So now you put him into a full offensive season as an NFL starter, and there you go.
All right. The Colts and the Jags. Jacksonville wins.
Man, I wasn't crazy about Anthony Richardson getting drafted 4th overall because I saw him play in Florida. I was like, ooh, that's bad. But it's just kind of devastating that you're not going to know it can be good or not because he has an AC sprain. He's going to get surgery. It's done.
Yeah.
Jaguars, just easy pickings.
And he's a guy that needs to be mobile, or else what are you doing with him,
No, nothing. I mean, and like Gardner Minshew has a chance because this guy just keeps working on 1-year contracts. I think he's better than Mac Jones, even though I defend my white guys. It's defense. It doesn't mean I'm saying they're better than him.
The new Fitzpatrick.
Is he better than Josh Dobbs in Arizona? Debatable.
All right, so Cincy beats Seattle.
Yeah.
No thoughts. All right, we'll move on. I mean, we don't have to delve too much.
No, but I got nothing to really pick at it.
All right, cool. Next we've got that was Cincinnati. Minnesota beats Chicago. The Bears are terrible.
Bears are so terrible. What happened to this whole Justin Fields' turnaround? The Vikings have like the worst defense, man.
Yeah,
Good on Kirk Cousins for still wanting to stay.
Oh, he's getting paid, so.
Yeah, well, but he's not waiving his no trade clause.
I don't know. He might actually like Minnesota. Seems like
Who are you gonna get? Like, guys, you do realize that you're not gonna suck it up to the draft high, and the only quarterbacks who are gonna be possibly available last year: Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, and maybe Kyler, maybe but I think they will still keep him. I don't think the tank for Caleb's going to happen because they're so dumb they're going to draft somebody else, more or less, right? Mm-hmm. If they even go that at all, and maybe Jimmy G if the Raiders just kind of void that contract, but that's not a good sign of production for a guy who doesn't get injured in Kirk.
All right, this is the highlight game that everybody's pointing out. The 49ers losing to Cleveland.
Wow, right? So weird.
Yeah.
So weird.
I mean, the 49ers were due for a bad game. So, and Cleveland's defense is actually,
So I got stats. We're going to do stats. PJ Walker, who was just starting his first game of the season in this Cleveland thing, who wasn't really the backup. It was Dorian Thompson as Deshaun's out. Went 18-34, not good.
Stringer, yeah.
192 yards for 5.6 average on throwing and 2 interceptions. I don't care about QBR and ratings. That's too analytical for a position that's not as analytical as WAR to me, and also basketball, right? Mm-hmm. So that's that. And then Brock Purdy, 12 of 27, just as bad, for only 125 yards, 1 pick, 1 interception, 4.6 yards on the throw. That means it was checkdowns, man. Yeah. That means it was like slants. And I think we've said it. I can't tell if Brock Purdy's a good team, unless Myles Garrett is a beast or a good quarterback or bad quarterback. But it's I understand that McCaffrey was out, and I understand that Samuel had some issues. But I always fall back to the fact that I've seen Tom Brady throw to like Kemba Tompkins and Riche Caldwell and all that stuff. It's about how you dissect it, how you read the defenses. Mm-hmm. And, all I hear is San Francisco friendly quarterback play. And you live by the sword, die by the sword. You live by building a constructive team. You die by a constructive team. And what I saw from those highlights and those stats is that when there's real pressure, and the NFC has some great defensive teams, Purdy might fold. There's a reason why he was a 7th rounder. He's not too tall. He doesn't have a strong arm. He might be accurate for now if you don't have him throwing 40 times a game. But if there's no McCaffrey, who's your running back, right? Elijah Mitchell? Concerning.
The Raiders beat the Patriots. So how are you going to defend your favorite white bread quarterback here, Charles?
I got this. All right, here we go. It's technically Zach Wilson at this point. Mac is just falling into the same thing. So Mac Jones' defense. You lost on weird stuff. And I only watched the highlights because the thing is I'm too in love with Jimmy Garoppolo. Get better, handsome, as Barry McCockner would say.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Get better. But it just comes down to he made some boneheaded plays. And, when are we going to hold Bill O'Brien? No, he played a bad game.
Yeah.
He played a bad game.
So he had some low brain throws.
Yeah. Well, Mac Jones. No one on this podcast said that Mac Jones was a first-round pick. 4th rounder, I can see it. Right? You can see it. You got to remember, he did go 9-7 one season, 8-9. That's what a 4th rounder does. But I'm also going to laugh at Bill Belichick for just kind of pressure points. He probably didn't even want to draft him. And then there's Robert Kraft listen, all right, they got me for the whole massage parlor thing. And I need you to get Tom Brady. I need you to make it about Tom Brady's heir apparent. And that, in my head, I see it 100%. Yeah, but Mac Jones was bad.
All right, the Lions beat the Bucks 20-6.
Yeah, I mean, hey, good for the Lions. They're 5-1 now. Really just putting some effort into it. Good on Jared Goff, right? Because remember, this is the guy that they flipped up. He was the guy who was supposed to get it done, the face of the franchise, and then everybody had him dead or rival. But on this team, he now looks like you associate Jared Goff with the Lions now. It's kind of amazing, and it goes back to and it's very similar to Baker, where sometimes there is a reason why you're a number 1 pick. And Baker did not play well this game at all, but I don't think anyone was expecting him to. Defensively, the Lions are built better, but the idea is that if you are a first-round pick not named Jamarcus Russell, you can probably really show and elevate, and that's what you got to do. But good on Goff, and to a degree, the Bucs are 3-2 in a very winnable NFC South.
Yeah. The Rams beat the Cardinals. The tank is working.
Yeah, tank's working. They weren't competitive, and I think we said it last week. I don't know how I want to deal with this Rams team in the playoffs. They're not winning that division, or maybe they are, right? If those injuries suffer in right 49ers, but as a wild card team, I don't know if I want to see that. They're trying to go for balance, which is kind of scary. Mm-hmm. You know, I think Sean McVay kind of got his head out of his ass 12 a little bit, where he says everything got to be the Cooper Kupp show because you gave 20 carries to Kieran Williams, who's actually having a really good season. You have more diversity as wide receivers because not always the Cooper Kupp show. Something's going on, maybe. And then I will always trust the team with Aaron Donald.
All right. The Jets, this is the other highlight game. The Jets beat the Eagles.
First off, Jalen Hurts,
right.
Good for you for getting
quarterback.
Yeah, well, good for you, Jalen Hurts, for getting that bag, beforehand, because he has just not been good. He threw 3 picks, and that Jets defense is there. I think they missed Miles Sanders. I don't think, DeAndre Swift's been getting what they need, and not as game with Boston Scott. A.J. Brown can't save you all the time. Trust me. Unfortunately, I know. But he is just a stud. 7 receptions, 131 yards. We talk about what Tyreek's doing with 800 yards receiving. To quote A.J., because, remember, I didn't break up with him. He didn't want to break up with me. It's the gods interfered. God damn you, John Robinson. I hate you so much. A.J. Brown has 42 receptions, 672 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I think that's like top 4
the
or
Eagles
5.
just signed Julio Jones, right?
Yeah, but, that's just a body at this point. Devontae Smith has some drops, but, Julio will play, and we love Julio, but Julio will play one game and they get hurt. That's it. So, concerning a little bit what happens for Jalen Hurts, because now it's more like you just expect him to run all the time, and you really just kind of say, hey, as long as you throw a pick that's not in our 50 or anywhere under our 50, it's fine. Zach Wilson played a very milquetoast average game. No one ran the ball. Boy, that Dalvin Cook signing was just trash, right? 3 carries. Well, if I'm the Vikings, I just call, because he's on a 1-year, $9 million deal. It's already been prorated out of 6 games. Just go bring him back, and then he can go back to the open market. It goes back to where they don't have the receivers. And mind you, he's throwing it 33 times. So all you got is Garrett Wilson making some production out there. But good for you, Zach Wilson. You didn't throw a pick. I don't think you fumbled. You're playing consistent ball. I got you. The Jets fans are kind of quiet now, right? At 3-3, especially with a certain overrated team barely eking by in New York, a different team barely eking by that debatably pass interference. There's some hope.
All right. Okay. So there's that. Then we have let's talk about that right now. The Bills beat the Giants.
Oh man. Thank God I played Resident Evil. What a waste of time. I feel bad for you. Lost brain cells watching the Bills and the Giants play.
Low-brained.
Very low-brained, very deflated. It was a half plate of football. Boring. I tried, man. But when Tyrod Taylor was at least moving the ball up, and we like Tyrod as a backup, Saquon Barkley, which I still think they rushed him back too much. It was just so bad. And then Josh Allen. What is up with these star quarterbacks who are struggling just to move the ball these days? If you didn't have Stephon Diggs, the man would literally just be so average. It feels like
white bread quarterback.
Yeah, but I was never defending him, right?
Yeah.
In that sense, because once you get that star receiver, I guess he's doing fine looking at the stats high in QBR, but something feels different. Something feels missing. Something the zest of the Bills love and Josh Allen love, it goes from there. And I feel like he's going to fall into and we talked about in the beginning of the football season, or at least the first 2 weeks. I feel like he's going to be where I go to Aaron Rodgers. I'm like, what's so special about him? Literally, what's so special about him? That he made the Bills relevant? Okay, fine. Technically, Tyrod Taylor took the Bills to a playoff series, but I digress. But it was just uninteresting to me. I don't know if it was uninteresting to you.
I didn't care.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I didn't care. Hockey started.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of hockey starting for me. I don't have to pay attention to the NFL as much. All right, the Cowboys beat the Chargers.
I didn't watch it. I tried.
I saw the meme with that lady, the Chargers fan. So.
Yeah, let her go. IWC. Oh, not IWC. I'm thinking wrestling. Twitter is giving shit about it. She's emotional. I have seen you guys punch.
She was already on McAfee's show already. She's good.
I've seen you guys punch like a TV. I think it's because they're calling her like fake fan because she was a Baltimore fan, but then they move over. I'm like, y'all bandwagon so much. First off, if you play fantasy football, you can't even talk about what bandwagoning is, right? So just that tucks out 98% of people there, I think, of the argument. And then two, people like to like what they like. Plain and simple.
Yeah, there's people like 5-6 teams for whatever reason.
Yeah, you can have one say that he's a Jacksonville fan, and then Tampa wins the Super Bowl and goes from there. And look, I'm also that person too. I'm a Tennessee fan, but I can also support the Bucks.
Yeah. And well, finally, Charles, I left this at the end, but the Ravens beat the Titans.
It's fine. Defense is good. Tannehill got hurt, so it's like, okay, I get the excuse. I get the luxury of a cop out. I get the luxury of the cop out. Because last year was different because we were competitive.
What was the Henry 100 yards?
100 yards, touchdown away.
Three away.
We didn't get the win.
Oh,
and it's not his fault. You do need, because the thing is, he is the straw that stirs the shake. So that's why. That's why. Unless he just did something. I thought you were 3 yards
away from it. I'm like,
No. And look, it's just going to be that thing. And it's either going to be Malik Willis or Will Levy who does it and gets something going. But, the offense is bad because you promoted from within the guy who had the same philosophy as Tal Downing. It's a little better. I do appreciate one person, and that's always going to be DeAndre Hopkins.
I'm just thinking of the name for Malik Willis handy. I think it would be called the Malik.
Malik.
The Malik leak.
The Malik leak for Malik. No, that would be me going from there.
Sorry.
I don't know. There's stuff like there, like, DeAndre Hopkins, he didn't have a good game this time, but there was nothing good. It feels like we didn't plan. And, for the Ravens who just give away throwaway games, I don't know why my dog wants to join in the combo so badly. But it just wasn't a good play because maybe we have a first-year offensive coordinator who wasn't going to go, but what the hell do I know about any of that? And that's the way it goes, right? So it's fine. I get the cop-out. Right, because you guys were already saying we weren't going to be competitive. If Tannehill's out for the entire season, then we got nothing really to work with, right? So it's fine. I get to play with, I'm just playing with house money, which is our theme for last season. So let's go with it here. The only issue, if we do suck, we know we're not getting a quarterback, but how are we going to test out Willis and then Levi or Levis, whatever they call him? But then what the hell are we drafting? Are we going to trade out? Because we did that before when we got the second pick, and then that's what led to Carson Wentz going to the Eagles, right? Do we have that luxury? I don't know what our philosophy is. Are we going to get Henry's walking, I'm guessing. Are we going to go for another receiver? Are we going to pull like the Detroit Lions who just like drafted receivers for so long in the Matt Millen era? Questions that keep me up at night because just as I said about the Yankees and the AL East, when it comes to the AFC South, I don't think there's a reign of supremacy for one particular team. So, and with three wild cards, I'm like, yeah, sure. I don't care. Take the 1L this year. It wasn't like last year where we knew we were better, but we just couldn't hang it out. You know what I mean? That's what happened. I'm like, all right, finishing 8-9 or 7-10.
All righty.
But it was okay. It didn't hurt.
Well,
I'm just numb to the pain.
All right. Well, then. Well, let's see what more numbness you can find with them. We head over to the cage.
It's going to be short, too, because I think I'm wrestling that. But let's do this. Welcome, everybody, to your weekly Truplex The Cage with Charles. Now, remember, wrestling is not fake. It's scripted. It's a stage fight. It's a song and dance. It's a ballet, poetry, and motion. It's about men and women beating the holy hell out of each other, trying to chase championships, establish legacy, give me my entertainment, keep me invested when I'm just so jam-packed with spooky season Spider-Man. Or what are you going to do to make me, like, want to watch your pay-per-view, brother, to say it's Hulk Hogan style? And watch your television shows and things like that. And I think it's going to be short just because when I tell you it's just been nothing but Twitter gifs of stupid stuff that I find funny, it really has been. First off, Akira Tozawa is a gem. He's the one that you saw with the little headband and the weights dancing in the background. That is Slide right there. But, some aspects, I guess I should update. New Japan, Wrestle Kingdom, the main event is going to be Sonata and Tetsuya Naito. They didn't give Evil the titles. Thank you, Christ. That were Royal Quest. We're going to get that. So that's like my little check mark. Impact stuff's happening. I'll get to that eventually. I have to actually research that
I'm
on a certain
putting Tozawa in the background.
Isn't that great? Like wrestling
the
has
granny
to be
weights,
goofy. Yeah, and the thing is, you can put any song with it, and what they've been doing is putting Swerve Strickland's song in AEW as it, and it's just so perfect. You can put anything. You can do the cha-cha slide onto it. You can put it, you could put like Cumbia Kings if you wanted to. It's always going to fit. You could put Backstreet's Back all right leading to it. He's a gem. He has good comedy. He was an excellent wrestler, I believe, when he was in not Noah, but the one with has the open the Dragon Championships. Dragon something. The brain gets you there. At some point, there's a lot of wrestling out there that we don't know about. Shingo Takagi had wrestled there, but it's just a highlight. That's actually how I think I'll do this. I'll just give a highlight of a wrestler who has to think, yeah, when it's quiet like this, I think that's how I'll do it, because there's stuff going, but we're
you can do
marinating.
profiles.
Well, the problem is that pay-per-views, which are important to me, all that stuff's not happening till November. It is October 17th. What the hell do I need to talk about the build for?
Yeah, no previews, no reviews.
Dragon Gate. There is, that was the thing, but there is some stuff to build into it. So I think I'll try to digest it. So let's go with AEW real quick. They're building the Full Gear. We're gonna get Jay White versus MJF. We're gonna Christian Cage and Adam Copeland. He's no longer Edge, which is still weird for me to say. They have the simmering rivalry that's building into it. I have to watch the Bryan Danielson versus Christian Cage TNT title match. I heard it was very good. You're going to do a slow burn on this. You're not going to have Copeland versus Christian until you get to Full Gear itself. And that's the thing. When it's a month away, we have to build it. But what's great, what I've been loving, we're doing a profile for this. I've been thinking Christian Cage has been doing excellent work, coming out as a villain with the turtleneck, corrupting Luchasaurus, even to a degree, Jungle Boy Jack Perry. The whole thing that he was running gimmick, Nick Wayne as well. The whole gimmick that he's been on is like, your father's dead. I'm your new daddy now, kind of thing. And now Copeland comes in, formerly Edge. He's a radar superstar. He's trying to steal the shine. And what was the highlight that I gave you like a week ago or 2 weeks ago when he tells Copeland, go fuck yourself after that? Literally.
The scene right here that I have here?
Yeah, the hug. No, not that one, but the one prior is when they're hugging, and that's like 13. But do you think they made up? And then, Cage goes, go fuck yourself. There's a lot, 14. There's a lot you can build with it, because the thing is that Cage played second fiddle to Copeland when he was Edge in WWE. Edge was the one who got all the main event stuff. Edge was the one who got the WrestleMania stuff. He was world champion. He was able to do the stuff. Christian didn't win a world championship in WWE until Edge had to retire because of the spinal issues or the disc in his neck being busted up, and it felt like a gimme. And he wasn't even treated like a real champion. I think he's a 2-time world heavyweight champion that he lost to Randy, and he won one of them back, Francisco, on a stipulation that Randy Orton could not lose by disqualification because he did the title transfer. So I remember Christian spat in his face, and then Randy lost it and like low blowed him or something. And it's just silly. It shows like the weakest champion. But Christian, he has left WWE before. He went to Impact and he won the NWA championship, and I believe he won the Impact used to be TNA. I believe he won the TNA championship before, and he won it when he came back to AEW when he had that agreement with Impact as well. So it makes sense. It is built, it is developed, it is something that is real. We support it. We need it. We're all about it. And I like it. And that's my highlight. There's other feuds they're building. They're still going to continue. Hangman versus Swerve, which makes me happy. I guess Orange Cassidy is the international champion again. Because remember, Mox had it. He won against Phoenix. Mox literally got wiped out cold. Phoenix wins it. Defends it like one time. And then Cassidy wins it back after Cassidy had it for almost like a year or so. And I'm like, bothered? I guess the long-term story is maybe they're going to try to have like Cassie change his persona or go heel against Mox, but sometimes you can make an audible, and sometimes the best decisions happen by going to an audible. Also, I don't think I mentioned it, Ricky Starks and Big Bill who used to be the former Big Cass, are now like AEW tag team champions. Good. Okay. Let's see what happens of it. I like both guys. Saraya lost her women's championship on top. So much to talk about here. I was not talking about AEW, but these are the updates that you need, at least because there was title changes. Lost to Hikaru Shida, who is now the 3-time women's champion. But here's my problem, Francisco. She lost it at All In Wembley, Shida, to Saraya, because remember, they have old names, so I try to treat it proper, in a fatal 4-way, and then Shida just wins it back. My whole thing is, if you're going to hot potato back to the original person without a story base, why change it at all? Why have them drop the belts, right? Go with the audible. Run with what you have. Let them go to the ringers. I don't know. And I know some people weren't happy with Saraya being champ. I do think she had some go home heat along with Ruby Soho, and the belt's off of her. But it doesn't mean I'm still satisfied with Tony Khan doing all those things. I am not going to talk about NXT versus AEW last week. And I had sent you guys in chats like that. It's beyond. I think it could be some concerning where maybe some AEW fans migrated over to watch the NXT stuff. I think NXT had a better card. I watched, Bryan versus Swerve Strickland, which was great for the bits and pieces that we have. But at the end of the day, who cares about ratings? Everything's based on metrics, retweets, and like demographics of streaming half the time. It's just good. It hurts. I think it's funny how like Tony Khan may have been presumed as a little butthurt that NXT lost, AEW lost, even though he had some of the better quality matches, right? With Dynamite went head to head on NXT. But at the end of the day, to quote Harrison Ford, who gives a shit, right? You're still getting money. You still have that cash. You still have a possibility. It's that tribalism that Twitter wants to have that just doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter. It's not big. It's not important. Let that go. It's fine. AEW is still a good product. There's people who watch AEW that like WWE. There are people like WWE that watch AEW. And there's some people that are just exclusive to both. Yeah. I am that person who says you take wrestling, I feel like how you take food and like chicken. It could be done soul food style, Americanized style with no flavor and adobo, Spanish region style. You can put it in soup. You can put it, a fried chicken. You can just, slice up, put into a salad, man. Yeah. That's how you can do wrestling. There's many ways to consume it, but that what we know is one thing: chicken is at least okay for you to eat. I won't say good for you because I've had the kernel.
Yeah, it's the same mentality with PlayStation versus Xbox, and then you got Nintendo fans on the side, and we're New Japan.
Yeah,
in a sense.
Yeah, right. So it's just in the corner, like you're special. We love you. I think people create to create, but AEW is still a product that's worth watching. There's rumors that they're going to expand to more pay-per-views. For love of God, I can't pay $50. Oh, Tozawa's on NXT right now because I put it on the background, and here he is, a gem of a human being. Just love him. He's just so good. That's what I got for AEW. I'm sure I'm missing something. I'm sorry, everybody. WWE, there's some stuff that's working, right? Some stuff that's working. Like Gunther is working as Intercontinental Champion. He put on the banger with Bronson Reed. I love meaty men slapping meat. Gunther is no longer a big boy.
Yeah, you had like Walter. A meat alert yesterday.
Yeah, and that was the thing. I just spammed you guys. I was just
there's meat happening.
Yeah, I'm like, guys, but that power bomb, Bronson Reed is like 375, and a lot of it's on Reed for lifting himself up to do it. But it's still something if you're going to get that power bomb out of it. But he puts on consistent bangers. Like if he's my highlight, it's that man. But there's other guys I could highlight. I think I'll do that in the next month. Just put on spotlights instead of just regurgitating everything so we don't overstay the welcomes. But it was just like, man, we're playing some stuff, but it was good. The Seth and Drew is good that we're building into it because Drew's having the logical heel turn. I'm not really a heel, but I'm doing what? Establishing legacies and chasing a championship. Roman came back. He's going to be feuding with LA Knight.
I'm looking at the highlight now.
Just look at that, man. And the thing is that Bronson's a heavy, so he can literally be kind of anything. He could be a face. He could be a heel. And the thing is, they're both heels going against each other. But when it comes to titles, it shouldn't matter if you're a face or heel. You want to win the title. If you make it like boxing, there's no good guy or bad guy. There's only a few of them that are bad guys, right? In between, I don't think Floyd Mayweather's a bad, but you can't read. But I don't think he's a bad person in general as a caricature, but he knows how to make you invested because he wants you to get the pay-per-view buys. But some dudes just do handshakes saying, no, what's up? And that's it. But the matches are good. And then there's some stuff I'm like, not for. Like, I'm not really liking how they're handling Io Sky's WWE Women's Championship. I really don't. Judgment Day, and we're going to get to it, has go home heat for me. And when we say go home heat, it's like, don't even be here. I wouldn't buy the tickets if I saw that you were there. If you're on my TV, I'm going to change that channel because I'm so over them, except for Dominic, who has that old school NWA 1980s heel heat. Roman's back feuding on LA Knight, and it's fine. It bothers some people because they feel like Knight's a caricature. You can't wrestle. It's fine, but you can't rotate the same people. So let's talk about what I like and I don't like about this current thing. So there's a consequence to Jey Uso coming to Raw, right? And here I was thinking it was going to be Cody because I just want Cody and Roman to get some wheels turning so they can get to part 2 and that can finally happen. It was Kevin Owens. And I have a theory. So Kevin Owens, Cody used his political stroke to get Jay onto Raw, but it came with the consequence of his boy, Kevin Owens, Sammy's boy, Kevin Owens, that Sammy, that KO, who gave you a match of the year contender at WrestleMania Night 1 for the tag titles, right? Yeah, that one. That also gave you match of the year contender when they were in Saudi with them defending titles against, Roman and Solo. That one? Yeah. What happened? Cody used that stroke and storyline and set Kevin Owens over to SmackDown. Now he's alone. He's defensive. He doesn't have his boy. Whereas, Sammy's with Jay and Cody. This is a theory because I'm saying now. When eventually Cody does get to SmackDown and wins that Universal title off of Roman. And I don't know when, and I don't know how. I really don't want him to win Royal Rumble again unless he comes in as like number 2 or 1 and beats everybody, right? And eliminates everybody. Now comes in at 30, not last. Then, because the rumor is that Ari Emanuel, the head of TKO, capped Vince's ass. He pulled a Tommy from Goodfellas. If anyone's seen the movie, Tommy thinks he's going to be a made man, and then they enter him in a building of nothing, and they get popped in the head. And if that's the case, I will French kiss Ari Emanuel right now with my eyes closed and my hand around his waist. Because Vince is the devil. And I have felt that the quality of the production has felt like more like a Triple H show. And what do you mean by that? Because remember, Triple H had sole exclusivity for NXT for a long time. So I like to think I can tell the difference. There's no xenophobia. There's no stupid comedy acts. There's some silliness that happens, but it feels like the well-rounded product. But the theory and the plan, because I think H probably looks at 5 months ahead of time, whatever, is that eventually when Cody does win the belt off of Roman, Owens is probably going to be the guy that either first challenges him or at least takes it from him. And he's going to bring back the whole thing is like, you thought you were caring for me. You got me traded over here to get your boy Jay. At that point, you guys won the tag titles together because they did. And you separated me from me, my best friend Sami Zayn. And you did all this stuff all for your own benefit. You went into the business for yourself. And it's going to blur that line because Owens is top 5 talker, one of the top 5 talkers in the brand for that company. So it's like, all right. Here we go. If you go into the ideas that you made into the business for yourself and you said it's only about you, well, guess what? It's only about me. I'm mouth-watering at the thought process because Owens loves Dusty. That's Cody's father. It was a great influence. I think you could build a lot of good legacy in there. What it comes down to, what it matters, what it builds into, what it becomes. So that's the consequence. And then on Raw, that Judgment Day that has a go-home heat, Damian Priest and Finn Balor got their rematch against Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso, who I was enjoying. They were making me laugh. I call them the American Yeets because they were saying Yeets throughout the whole post-conference when they won the title 9 days ago. Well, there was interference, and it caused Jey Uso to get pinned, and now the Judgment Day is now WWE Undisputed Tag Team Champs again. But who interfered, Francisco? Jimmy Uso. Jay's brother? Yeah. The one who betrayed him at SummerSlam and said, hey, I didn't want you to become like Roman Trouble. Yeah, that guy. The guy when Roman's disappearance has been trying to run the show and no one takes it seriously? Absolutely. But why? I have no problem with Jimmy interfering. We're going to get to a Survivor Series or War Games, and eventually we'll get to Jay and Jimmy on their own, stuff like that. I do also think that Roman's going to do the whole, hanging on the cross on Jimmy at some point, and you're going to get Jimmy versus Roman, which is needed. It's not going to be a 3-month feud, but it's going to be the cool off between that story that had been pending when he was excommunicated. Because remember, Jimmy shot first on Roman that led to the cracks of the bloodline and then came back. And the idea is that he was trying to be the head of the table when Roman's gone in a very comedic way. But I think that's good because I imagine eventually Roman's already had his trilogy with Jay. Roman will have a match maybe to a Jimmy. I think you can keep Jimmy heel, but it's a heel for a reason. It's not like a good guy, a bad guy, but it's a guy who has to handle Roman, right? But you give him one match, right? One small program. And I think eventually when Roman loses that belt to Cody, if that's the plan, I would assume it is, the idea is that you have Solo and Roman non-title. Well, there's not going to be a title in play, but that's the send-off to Roman. It makes Solo into a made man so he could start pursuing championships and then gives Roman some time off so he can reconfigure his character and maybe come back as a face. 3 years is a long time to be a bad guy. It's assumed that he'll be a bad guy for another heel, another 8 months. So that's just the thought process. But the Judgment Day are now tag champions. I'm kind of upset. I like Jay and Cody, which is weird for me to say because I've been very anti-Cody. Not anti-Cody concept, but anti-Cody how he's been booked, right? But now here we go. There has been some tension with the Bloodline Cody bring it back in to loop it back into everything for Cody and Roman. But how are we going to get there? And that's the thing. The best stories, the best shows answer those questions. How do we get there? And they lay it down for you. They might not hold your hand to do it, but they lay the breadcrumbs. So we just have to follow the crumbs. We have to be the Sherlock Holmes in this ish. Or if you've seen Knives Out, you have to be LeBlanc. That's all I got for you this week on The Cage.
Alrighty. Well,
Benoit Blanc, not LeBlanc. Sorry.
Alrighty. Well, I think that's it. I have nothing more to say, so bye-bye.
Take care.